Welcome to this week's episode of Campbell and Jones Meet the Monsters, the podcast where we chart the cinematic legacy of the classic monsters. I'm John Campbell. With me, as always, Brendan Jones.
Oh, John Campbell. How you doing?
I was doing a lot better before I watched this week's movie.
Holy mackerel.
Let me say this. I enjoyed my first trip to Salem's Lot. Not so much my return trip.
Return to Salem's Lot, it's more like go back and find a plot. Am I right? I right? I was up also, all night writing that one. Don't give it a boo.
There's an interesting thing that I feel like we've been trapped in a time warp, because back with us to discuss this movie is our good friend and frequent guest, Elliott Lewis.
Elliott!
Wow. But I will say, here's the thing. You were on...
guys.
Yeah.
I'm fucked up.
Oh, no.
Fucked up!
It's like, and that was Elliott's last visit to the podcast.
I also love when he
Curse you, Larry Cohen!
Yeah. No, the thing that I was going to bring up is Elliott was on maybe 4 or 5 weeks ago to talk about Lost Boys, and that movie came out in 1987, and we're still in 1987.
I'm stuck, guys. I can't get out.
That's why I'm saying, like, I think I'm going insane. All these movies came out in the same year, and they all come out in the end of this year. All these movies come out like in the fall to winter of 87. That's the thing, is crazy. We're not even looking at the whole year. We're just looking at like a bunch of stuff thrown at the end of this year from studios.
And as we've been keeping track with, this was the year I graduated high school. John and I got into the thing of like going, because I was sitting there going, oh yeah, I saw this in the theater. Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, I saw this in the theater. I can definitively state, no,
you did
I
not
avoided
see this
Return
one.
to Salem's Lot.
Well,
if it even came to Houston, because it was a limited release, is what I'm understanding.
But you and I last week were surprised to hear this saw any kind of theatrical release. We thought for sure, much like the first and much better and more cinematic movie was made for TV. I mean, that first Salem's Lot, we're huge fans of here on the show. That 70s miniseries is excellent.
For a TV miniseries in the 70s, which of course you have to deal with all kinds of censorship.
I think it goes Night Stalker, Salem's Lot, right?
Oh God. I mean, they rose above their medium. They rose above a TV movie to be truly great. This thing came out in 87. It felt to me like one of the cheesier ones we'd seen from the 1970s.
Yes.
I mean, there are little nods to it being 80s, but it felt like a throwback. I was sitting there going, even the ones we have shat on over the last few weeks that were just not very good, we at least felt like we were in the proper decade. This thing seems... because it's Larry Cohen, it just feels... I was
gonna say, but how much of that is because it's a Larry Cohen movie?
Yeah,
I think it all belongs
I will say, seeing that before I started, it definitely set my expectations at the right level. I've seen most of the man's filmography.
Right at the very beginning.
Not that I should,
when over the credits, all we see is they just shot a close-up of fire, and then they solarized it, so it's red, now it's green, and they're just shifting colors, solarized fire, and I'm like, that is cheesy ass 1970s Scream Blackula Scream kind of stuff. It is so dumb.
Was it a Dracula TV movie we watched that was like almost entirely so? No, it's Badham's Dracula, isn't it?
It was Palance, yeah.
Oh no, it's the Palance version. It's the Palance, not the Langella. It's the Palance one that just randomly inserts like solarized footage. Is it supposed to be like Dracula vision or something like that?
Because they shot it in video, and they're like, let's see what video can do.
Yeah,
and everyone's at home going, can we not see what video can do? But this thing starts so cheap, and I, honest to God, we will talk about all the stuff we should talk about before we get going. But the second the credits stop and we actually are seeing footage, I live alone. I have no one around here so I don't speak out loud much. Why would I? But in the quiet of my own apartment, my lonely bachelor apartment, this movie started, and the words out of my mouth were, "Uh-oh."
Yeah, I was gonna say follow up with mine were definitely oh boy.
Yeah.
Even though I knew what was coming,
Yes.
like I knew how this movie started.
Yes.
I've
never seen this before, and literally in the first few seconds it was like, oh no. Oh no. I was like, please reveal this. And then they show a guy with a camera. I'm like, yeah, show that this is a bad movie being made. No, it's not. I thought, oh, this is clearly them faking us out, and someone's making a movie within the movie.
Here's the thing: in the weeks leading up to this, as I've just been talking to Elliott about other stuff, this will come up, and Elliott's just like, "Oh, you guys are in for something," and I feel like
you've done this.
Yeah, there was proper. You properly laid the tracks.
It was already on the list.
Yeah, it was.
I will take responsibility for subspecies, but I will not take responsibility.
Yeah,
for this.
we're gonna have a bone to pick next season.
Keep that in
on
mind
the show.
for when we get to subspecies. I don't know who to blame.
That's next season. We're doing 4 subspecies movies, something like that.
How many of them star Melanie Shatner, daughter of Will?
At least one.
At least one.
Yeah.
Oh, God.
Well, as we always do, we can talk about the poster, but there's nothing to talk about. It's
just the same poster.
And that pisses me off. That pisses me off.
Bad and lazy.
It's so lazy. And here's another thing. If this movie had taken out all of Salem's Lot, if it had taken out any reference to it or to Stephen King's story, it would have been terrible still. But it would have been dumb fun terrible.
Yeah.
Yeah, it would have at least
feels
made
offensive.
sense.
Yeah, it might have made sense. This feels offensive because every time they name check it, which is like every 8 minutes, by the way, I just sit there going, why? Mm-hmm. This didn't need to be Salem's Lot at all because it doesn't pick up from where the other thing left off. It doesn't.
Well, something you and I brought up. How could it pick up from where the other one left off? The entire town burns to the ground.
Yeah, I was
at
like,
the end
are
of
they
that.
going to show up and it's just ash? No.
Like if it had been a reference to like One for the Road, which is the follow-up short story.
Yeah.
From Night Shift, I think.
Look at you pulling that out.
But like. Yeah, but it's like it's like they could have survived, and like
continuing
they did.
But continuing the adventures of Ben Mears and the kid whose name I can't remember.
That was Danny, right?
Yeah,
is it Danny?
Yeah, but they could be fighting vampires.
Does he have 2 that are
where
Danny
else,
is
South
the main
America,
kid?
what have you? Or
yes, I mean that is the setup. The end of Salem's Lot is kind of this thing about like we may have burned down Salem's Lot, but we're going to be on the run forever. These vampires are always around and after us potentially. The thing I kept thinking with this movie is I'm going, finally, if you love Salem's Lot but want no thrills or scares and a cast of incredibly unlikable characters, because holy shit, I hated every character in this movie.
That's exactly my thought too. I was sitting there going, look, it is almost aping a Stephen King thing because he makes flawed characters and he does them well. He makes them very well-rounded.
That's key, though. That's key.
But in this case, I was sitting there going, if I had to write like a description for this for like a film guide, it would just be shitty dad and his shitty son go to a shitty town with shitty people who drink shitty blood. It is just
until a shitty vampire hunter shows up who's even shittier than the vampire. Like you just like.
I mean,
I'll say this: Sam Fuller is my favorite thing in the movie.
Well,
yeah,
I agree. He is a shitty character. Like he's a shitty person, but I agree he is the most entertaining. And also just random that legendary filmmaker Sam Fuller is in this movie. A guy who has a couple of acting credits, but wasn't really known as an actor.
Shooting vampires with Lugers. Oh, my God. And talking about the fucking Nazis every 5 seconds.
Actually, that is a Walther. That is a Walther, Nazis. Brendan, but that's the only thing else.
Oh, I'm sorry. Was it a Walther? I'm out. Was. Sorry. Elliot, you want to take my place now?
Yeah. I know way more about World War II machinery, like guns and stuff, for sure.
Yeah.
I don't know. I knew it was a German gun.
It is,
because he says it's a German gun, and it has that stock thing that makes it look like a Anyway, whatever.
Yeah. Well, there's a look to German firearms. Yes. Anyway, moving on from my weird knowledge of firearms. But Sam Fuller. I don't know how he ended up in this thing. But
back to the poster, they literally just took the picture of Barlow, the vampire from the first movie.
Well, that's the video release poster.
Oh, what was this?
The theatrical release poster is literally just a all black background with the Salem's Lot logo, and then just a return to a film by Larry Cohen.
Oh,
and then,
yeah.
By the way, based on characters created by Stephen King. Which characters in this movie did he create?
Which ones?
Not a single one.
No character. It should say based on a, or I'll even add kind of based on a town created by Stephen King.
Well, listen, if we think about the book Salem's Lot and, you know, the POV points that Steve writes in it, the town is really a character, isn't it?
If you think about it, Salem's Lot is the final main character in the book. No, I mean,
again, not that this place looks anything like the Salem's Lot from Salem's Lot.
Nor does it function like it. Salem's Lot wasn't a town full of vampires. That's not what it was. It was the vampire that comes and subsequently infects the town. We talked about this. I mean, because we talked about this when we talked about Salem's Lot. That Salem's Lot was King's take on Dracula, right? The idea of this evil force that comes and spreads like a cancer in this town to darken
small
everything.
Town Americana. Yeah, and
that's great.
No, that's great. And of course,
it's a classic.
It worked.
It's a classic.
It worked in prose. It worked in film.
We're about to get
maybe
another
they'll do a good job on the remake.
Yeah, I hope so.
And I really enjoyed Chapelwaite, which was sort of the
prequel
most
series.
Recent prequel,
which
very good.
Going back makes sense. Going forward, if you're gonna go forward, exactly. You go forward with Ben Mears. You don't go forward with Salem's Lot. There is no Salem's Lot. And
that's famously the whole thing is that after that, every Stephen King book that mentions Salem's Lot talks about the burning of Salem's Lot. It talks about the former town of Salem's Lot. It's not referred to as like, well, I think I'm going to pack up the family because there's a rabid dog around here. I'm going to move to Salem's Lot. No, there is no town anymore.
No, I thought that was the ending of Cujo. No, I
hear Derry, Maine is nice.
There is
certainly nothing in the sewers over there.
There's one line from Michael Moriarty's piece of shit main character here that doesn't he say something about like, man, I didn't know what to expect. Maybe it's just a smoking hole in the ground, and then what? There's a town. There is like some line, but it also is just going like, so did Salem's Lot the first one happen? Or
well, I mean, I'm sure we all read the same stuff. I will throw this out, reading a little bit of the behind-the-scenes thing. Larry Cohen originally adapted Salem's Lot, and Warner Brothers said, no, we don't like your script, and they went with someone else, luckily.
Good call,
Good call. But he apparently hung on to it. Then later they're like, hey, we want to make a thing with you, and he's like a vampire movie. He's like, hey, why don't I just do a sequel to Salem's Lot? And they're like, sure, that's great, that's bankable. And this is what he gave them.
Yeah.
And he was inspired by Our Town.
Yes, I also did see that.
And you can see that.
Thornton, you can see it. It's just
and
like,
actually, if you take Salem's
Lot,
Lot,
it's terribly done. Even if that was your inspiration, it's bad.
But I'm saying if you take Salem's Lot out of it, and somebody just pitched me Our Town with vampires, I'm going, yeah, I'd watch that. Not what we got here, but that pitch sounds pretty cool to me. This is terrible. Do you want the tagline here? We have one tagline, and it's dumb. Salem's Lot. Population dwindling. Primary industry terror.
Yeah. It's
very 80s video like B horror thing.
Yeah.
And their industry is terror. You know, like you can hear that grindhousey trailer announcer.
It's pretty terrifying to see elderly people chowing down on a cow.
Well, okay, the biggest thing here to me, and this is not uncommon in these movies. What is the tone of this thing?
It's everywhere. It's like right, because the movie, we start with this very absolutely racist.
Just generic tribes people
in South America somewhere, and Michael Moriarty is a piece of shit anthropologist. And
this, oh god, okay, no, we really should just go step by step.
We have to,
and also sing the theme song to the old TV show Step by Step.
Step by Step.
But here's the thing. Okay. Yes, we immediately start with perhaps dark-skinned people, but more than likely they've been spray painted.
Folks in brown face.
Oh,
yeah, they are so in brown face, and they're having a fertility ceremony.
That's but it's except for it ends up being a human sacrifice or an execution
or a cleansing or something.
Right.
And the cameraman is like, God, you're not even human. Like, I can't watch this stuff.
Michael Moriarty's
like, don't turn off the camera.
From moment one.
I'm giving him a little too much inflection. Michael Moriarty's like, don't turn off the camera.
Oh, he knows. Because Michael Moriarty is a good actor. He's been good in many things, but he is just here for the paycheck, man.
And I can only assume he and Larry Cohen are buddies because he was in plenty of Larry Cohen films.
Yeah,
he was just a working actor and can be good. But also literally just shows up.
He's a guy.
He's really phoning it in.
He's 3 years out from being the original star of Law and Order, I think, which will really launch him in a bigger way. But yes, I do see. Yes, he is in one of my favorite Larry Cohen efforts, Q the Winged Serpent.
I love Q the Winged Serpent
with David Carradine as a New York cop hunting a dragon.
It's Alive is also great.
Yeah,
I mean, the stuff. It's Alive, great. Everything I'm saying is in quotes, by the way. I mean, Larry Cohen never made a good movie, but he made fun schlock.
Yeah,
and It's Alive is fun. Q the Winged Serpent is fun.
This one isn't even fun, really.
No, this one isn't fun.
It's kind of boring.
According to him, supposedly
it has fun things.
He was going for comedy. Supposedly, this was supposed to be highly satirical, and he was making a comment on American commercialism I
mean, when you go to the IMDb, it's listed as comedy, horror, thriller, but none of it's funny though.
No, not a single thing is funny.
Like, and this is why I off mic I was like, no, Ricky Addison Reed fucking crushes it, at least for a little bit in this movie, because he gets some funny stuff in. Like, I mean, he's clearly going for like a Corey thing, right? Mm-hmm. Like a Feldman,
I guess but 11-year-old. I mean, yeah. They're trying to style him like that. Like, I'm kind of I'm sort of cool, but the whole thing is like, someone online also did a count, and they're like, the kids in this movie curse more than the adults. And that's saying something, because the adults say fuck every few seconds. The kid is literally like, this goddamn piece of shit, fucking goddamn. And like, that could be funny. When cussing kids are always funny.
When he tells his father to shut the fuck up.
Shut the fuck up. What are you, a fucking idiot? I'll drive, you fucking piece of shit.
Oh, the kid driving. I mean, are they? Part of me was thinking, are they going?
That was kind of funny. Okay, right. Okay, so Michael Moriarty, he's in South America. Supposedly, he's in California somewhere.
Yeah.
The fact that it's a circle of trees in a backlot with like just a sand floor. That's why I kept saying, please make this the making of a bad movie, because this is so obviously a set with brown face actors dancing around in a tribal dance. I was like, this is so fake and awful. Mm-hmm. But no, it's supposed to be real. Yeah. He's a serious anthropologist taking
by the way,
his job very seriously.
$12 million budget for this movie, which is more than I would have thought.
I would say that is about $11 million more than I thought.
Yeah, because I mean, by 87 standards, that's like a middle of the road budget. That's not super low by any stretch.
That's almost half the budget of the original Batman, 1989.
Yeah, that's true.
It was a $40 million movie.
Yeah, which was a massive,
which made a lot of news at the time. Like, good lord,
could you imagine $40 million for one film? What is this? Craziness.
Anyway, so Elliot, what you're saying is the beginning of this movie caught you instantly. You knew you were in for something special.
Well, so I don't remember if I've mentioned this on mic before yet or not, but like, so I knew about this movie because of another podcast I listened to. They watched it for a like bonus thing for their Patreon that I subscribe to. So I'm hearing them describe this movie. And this is the first time I'm watching it. So like, I know what's going to happen more or less, but like, it's still one of those things where I'm like, wow, so they weren't just making that shit up. They weren't just sort of spitballing this whole movie.
I can completely believe that.
They did not prepare you well enough.
There is stuff in here I do feel like if I explained it to people, they would go, "Oh, they wouldn't put that in a movie, like in a major studio release." What?
All right, I'm gonna get to my favorite line. And it's sad that my favorite line would happen so early in the movie because then I had to watch the rest of it. But
there's some great lines throughout the whole thing, though, man. I will say.
The natives have stabbed this guy in the ceremony and taken his heart out, and the cameraman, who you would think would be more seasoned if he's following an anthropologist around, but he's like going, "Oh God, I can't believe I'm filming this." Oh, he's like, "If you can't handle it, I'll finish filming," says Michael Moriarty. But anyway, then suddenly from the lake or the river, there's a boat that comes in, guns blazing, which scares off the superstitious natives. They're superstitious. They run away. And then the guy gets out of the boat. And for a second, I'm thinking, what are these local, revolutionaries or something? Are these guys in trouble? No, it's like friends of the anthropologist. And he was like, he did it as a gag, shooting the guns. And he says my favorite line, which is, "Sorry, I scared off all the bare titty."
Yep.
Yeah.
Sorry,
he did say
that.
That is like
all the
that is like
titty.
the fourth line of dialogue in the movie.
In the whole movie, yeah.
I know.
and
I just
boy, if that doesn't tell you what you're in for, man.
Well, again, I was thinking, okay, Stephen King will very often have I knew that Stephen King had nothing to do with this, but he very often has characters that are very crass. I don't know if this character is going to be important. He's not, by the way.
No,
but
this is it.
They're introducing him, so I'm like, maybe he's going to be the stereotypical gross white guy that a Stephen King very often puts in a story, and he'll end up dying horribly.
Right.
No, because you find out later that pretty much everyone talks like that until you get to the old vampire people who are all like very proper.
Well,
I was like,
never.
Yeah, I know. So I was like, oh God. And then I was like, yeah, Larry Cohen. It's like, I had to hear that line. I was like, yeah, I'm watching a Larry Cohen movie. And he's thinking, that's great. I've just given this guy all the character you need to know about him in one line.
I don't think I have to even go back to watch it to tell you that in Tobe Hooper's Salem's Lot, nobody says the word titty.
No one does.
I don't even think they say titty in the book.
No.
Oh, I could see that though, because he will have people using gross slang.
But I don't think he does.
If he wants the character to do it, and he certainly throws the R word around a lot because he very often has mentally challenged characters, and there will always be some bully character going, "You lousy."
Hey, the less said about Dreamcatcher, the better. All right.
And Dreamcatcher's just one of many.
No, it is
because he goes to that well.
That is the most egregious of the bunch, I think.
Yeah.
MOON, that spells trope. But anyway, so so we're off and running, and basically the boat is just there to pick up Michael Moriarty.
Hey man, we just got word your son, something's wrong with him, and you got to go back to the States right now. And I do love to just further emphasize what a piece of shit this guy is. Your wife called. He goes, my ex-wife.
Yeah, my
and
ex-wife.
I'm like, oh boy, here we go. The bitch of the ex-wife trope, right?
Yeah.
My fucking terrible ex-wife. Yeah.
Ronnie Blakely, formerly of Nashville. And you sit there going, oh my God.
And she's in this so briefly. And she's married to some...
Like literally for this next scene. And she's like, I lied, whatever, but you need to take your son.
Off camera holding her lines up.
Yeah.
Because talk about someone phoning it in. It's like someone going, Ronnie, right here, right here.
Well, yeah, it almost seems like she took the part that morning and was on set a couple hours later and just going, just write it out, whatever I need to say.
Bring your own 80s lady suit with the big shoulder pads.
And
just bring that.
And her nothing husband who has like no lines. He's just like,
Oh, he has a couple. Oh man, we got to get to that. So Michael Moriarty is riding back on the boat. The cameraman, who's also not another character that carries on, but he's like, "Oh, you have a son and you care about him. I guess you are not. I guess you are a human and not just a emotionless piece of shit after all." And then sixth grade suddenly showed up in this movie where Michael Moriarty goes, "Hey, you got something in your eye." He goes, "What?" And he goes, "This." Pop. And he hits the cameraman in the eye. And I was like going, wow, I
can't tell what Larry Cohen thinks he's accomplishing with this character. Because
ostensibly, we're supposed to, like, oh, this is our main character, and we're supposed to like him in some capacity.
In no capacity.
Some capacity.
I haven't seen a main character
Just
this unlikable since Tom Atkins in Halloween 3.
Yeah, that's right.
Who is one of the biggest fucking dirtbags I've ever seen, and he's the main character.
I hope you find out what happened to your dad. First, we're gonna get some beers, and I'm gonna lay you in a hotel, and then we're gonna get to the bottom of that mystery.
You're supposed to take your kids trick-or-treating, now you're drunk off your ass. It's like, oh, this guy's the hero of the movie?
I'm going to save the world by calling all of the networks from the payphone.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
Turn off the commercials. It's a guy in a phone booth. What do you mean, who is this?
Oh, we'll get there someday, Brendan, on this show.
Boy. Anywho, so yes, he's been lured back to the mainland because he thinks his son has been injured, and then his ex-wife, and man, is she a bitch, and her new husband, and boy, is he a dick.
Yeah.
They basically go, no, he's not hurt. He's just an asshole. And so we thought he should spend some time with his dad, and maybe you can make him less of an asshole because you're clearly a role model. You fucking asshole.
Job.
And I love when they go, I bet you don't even know which one of these. I bet you wouldn't even recognize your own son. Oh. Go ahead. Pick him out of the crowd.
And when he does recognize him, it's even better because he's like, he's the one in the designer clothes. Only you'd fucking dress my kid like that.
Yeah.
And you do get this kid who is like 11 or 12, and he's in 80s fashions hardcore with the sunglasses on, and he's basically sitting there. If they had given him a cigarette in this airport, it would have been perfect because he's just like, yeah, what is it? What is it, Dad? Yeah, it's
me. But
it's
perfect. It's perfect because he goes up to him. He's like, Jeremy, what's wrong? Takes the sunglasses off and says, didn't they just tell you? I'm fucked up.
And then suddenly,
just
Roger Daltrey's voice kicks in. Yeah! Because anytime you take off your sunglasses.
Oh, yeah. But I thought it was also going to go to Teenage Wasteland.
Yeah. I'm fucked up.
I'm fucked up.
Yeah. And my favorite thing
is this kid's listening to the Smiths right now, right?
Outside the airport, the mother and the husband who have gotten this guy from around the world to take care of his son. I love that they just dump them there.
Yeah,
it's not about it's not like we'll drive you back to the hotel and then you get yourself a rental car. They get in their Mercedes, which is banged up, and I was worried they were not going to pay that off. They eventually did. It was like, okay, now they've paid it off. Because they didn't explain it here, but they drive off in the Mercedes and they just leave the kid and the anthropologist asshole sitting on luggage going, what do you want to do now?
Yeah. Well, should we get a cab?
Hungry?
Yeah.
Get a cab?
Their interactions with Michael Moriarty's interactions, not just here, but throughout the whole film with Jeremy are just so, it's just like, I'm a guy talking to a kid. We have no relation. And it's like, I guess I kind of get that because he's supposed to be really removed from it. But because of Michael Moriarty's performance through the whole thing, where he just is sort of there, it's just so odd.
Well, I also love he never
whenever they
stops
try
being
to make
a
him
piece of
somewhat
shit.
There are beats later in the movie when he's supposed to be like, what are you guys doing to my kid? Or I can't leave Jeremy behind, or whatever it is. You're like, I don't buy this at all.
Yeah.
No,
because there was so many parts early in the movie where you could say, I'm worried about my kid. We're getting out of this town.
But
and instead it's like, we could stick around while I write a Bible for some vampires.
In those exchanges.
I'm sure you'll be all right.
The way he fights vampires is by being an asshole to him. He's like, that's fucking right, man. I burned your fucking coffins, jackass.
Yeah. Yeah, he's a terrible character.
He's never
terrible.
It's not the Stephen King thing you should talk about where it's like a difficult or troubled kind of character who grows into being a hero. No, this guy is just a dick and ends up winning against the vampires by just being a bigger dick than they are,
Yes. And the supposed turn of Jeremy, which because he goes full bore, which I thought was actually one of the only things in the script that was kind of ballsy. He's going full bore, man, I love that Vampire Society.
Yeah,
and I love Tara Reid.
The film debut of Tara Reid, this movie, which that was one of the biggest surprises for me. Actually, the other point, Brendan, did you read anything about this kid, this actor, Ricky Addison Reed?
No, who plays Jeremy? I think Elliott did.
Yeah.
Well, I was gonna say it was funny you mentioned Batman earlier because because Ricky Addison Reed was almost in it. He was cast as Dick Grayson before they wrote Dick Grayson out of it.
Yes. Oh. He was fully in. They had cast him as Dick Grayson, who was supposed to show up in the third act of the '89 movie. Before, famously, they completely rewrote the third act.
So does that mean within a year or so he became a decent actor?
The other thing I was surprised by is he's Irish. Looking at his IMDb here.
Well, I respect him even more now.
I'm just saying, like, he's playing a shitty American kid, but here he is.
Yeah.
He's an Irish. But he was. That was the craziest thing. He was supposed to be Dick Grayson in Batman.
No, I didn't know that.
Dick Grayson was supposed to be in both of those Burton movies and got cut out fairly late in the game. Because they had also cast Marlon Wayans as Dick Grayson.
Yeah, that one
in Batman Returns, that one's crazy because that got so late in the process that he got cut that he still gets paid for it. He still gets residuals for Batman Returns because they had to pay off his contract because it was so late that they changed that.
Crazy.
Yeah.
I do know that Robin's costume redesign in the comics came because of the movies. So that was actually the design that was going to be in the movie.
There is a Marlon Wayans action figure that came out from the Batman Returns line that just has no context because that's really how far they got into Robin was going to be in it.
All right. Well, anyway, back to this.
Yeah, we're always distracted by Batman.
It's always going to happen. But I'll say this: it's again, two shitty people, and they're sitting on their luggage, and they're sitting there going, and the dad's like, "Where do you want to go?" And he's literally like, "Do you want to go like to the beach or something?" He goes, "Or we could go to my aunt's place in Maine."
It's like he's like, I have two assignments. We could go to Peru, or we could go to Maine. Peru. And it's like, it's like obviously we have to go to Maine, or else the movie wouldn't happen.
What do you think, huh? My aunt left me a bungalow in Maine.
And I love later on the weird, because every now and then I was like, what? I wasn't completely locked in on a lot of the dialogue. But the later end, he's like, she's not really my aunt.
Yeah, and it's she's just a family friend.
She's a family friend, but I had a very special time here when I was a kid.
Well, and that's the other thing. It
sounds creepy, but whatever,
It does sound creepy, but it also is kind of a retread of Ben Mears, right? Where it's like he had spent a chunk of his childhood in Salem's Lot, except for that actually is like matters to the character, and Ben Mears is interesting.
But the other interesting thing, which I was going to bring up for the cab ride, is that all of that info of she's not really my aunt, she's just a family friend, all of that's ADR work.
Yeah.
And and boy, is there some great ADR in this
movie. There's an entire character that's important-ish whose entire performance is ADR'd. Mm-hmm. And I'm like going, did they just hire her for boobs and then just like, let's get rid of her voice entirely? Mm-hmm. The only nudity in the film, and her voice for the entire movie is dubbed. And I'm like, okay, she was just hired for that. She probably never worked again. Then I look, no, same year she made It's Alive 3, Island of the Alive.
Which was shot...
She did 2 Larry Cohen movies back to back.
Well, and they apparently ran right from this into It's Alive. What is that?
I bet that set at the beginning, It's Alive 3. The whole anthropology thing is probably the same set from Island of the Alive. So It's Alive 3. So I bet if we watched both those back to back, it'd be like, oh.
But let's not.
Oh, and they're wearing the same clothes. He's wearing the same clothes. Those are the same cargo pants.
Yeah. Once again, let's not, because
I don't. Moriarty, we can tell he's an anthropologist because he wears cargo pants.
Oh God, yeah. Also, did you guys clock the hairpiece he's wearing the whole movie?
Mm-hmm.
He's wearing a rug in this thing, man. Because I know
Michael Moriarty wore a rug from day one. Everything I've ever seen him in. I mean, and that's fine.
He does ditch it around into Law and Order.
Yeah, that's true.
Because that's what as we've
his entire career, when I've seen him in movies, I'm like, oh, that one's better than the last one. Oh, this one's bad.
Well, befitting. Wasn't the first Salem's Lot? There was a very famous rug in that too.
Oh my God. What's his name? The guy who ended up on St. Elsewhere. Yeah, that was the worst thing.
So this
that was like
befitting.
That was like some sort of carpeting. It literally was carpeting.
I do love that in the trivia for this movie, this film is considered the nadir in director Larry Cohen's career.
Which is saying
I'm
something.
like, he didn't start out very high, but the fact that this is the lowest he got. Oh my God, Larry Cohen. I would just love to see what this guy was like on a set, like, well, did he have command over these actors, really getting into performances?
I'm sure, but I have a feeling it was just more like, great, moving on.
That's what I mean.
Moving on.
Yeah.
Great, moving on.
He put out 3 movies in 1987 because he also put out Deadly Illusion with Billy D. Williams and Morgan Fairchild, which I think is going to be a coming soon to the Action Shelf episode.
Oh, dear.
Yeah. 3 movies. He made 3 movies in a year. You can't be a good
sad
director.
That in our podcast, John, I will never have the delight of doing a Morgan Fairchild film with you.
I don't think she ever did.
She never went up against the classic monsters.
No, she never fought Dracula or Frankenstein. Sadly, Morgan Fairchild versus the Count Dracula. The Lord of the Undead. Yeah. So they get to Salem's Lot. Or
they
what
take
they're
a
claiming
cab ride
to
from L.A. to
no,
Maine.
they're in New York, I think.
I think they are in New York. Although I do love him going like, Jesus, for the cab fare we paid, we could have bought another car. Cut to them. Oh, this scene where they're buying a car. And once again, it's like, I'm just going like, man, Michael Moriarty is shitty, but this kid is 10 times shittier.
Again, they're trying to build the character of this kid. We never learn why he's fucked up, other than the fact that he has a trash mouth and is always in a bad mood. But essentially, the whole thing is they're trying to like go, see, he's really canny. He's a smart kid because he's like going, I don't know. I'd knock off another couple $100 because look, the exhaust is rusted through, and the salesman's like, "Oh, good eye, you know your stuff."
The car is marked at $1,500.
Yeah,
which is crazy, right?
Yeah.
Like by today's standards, and that's too high for them. They eventually get him down to $800, and then they imply they're gonna keep negotiating. What?
It's like, we haven't even started negotiating yet. But, oh!
And then he goes, let's see how it runs. And the guy's like, oh, I hope it runs.
At the end of the scene, the used car salesman gives them $20 and the car. They eventually get negative.
Yeah.
I'll give you $20 to take the car.
I just love that Jeremy goes through this whole thing where he's like, yeah, this car's a piece of shit. And then he starts walking away and the guy says 800 and Michael Moriarty's like, what do you think, Bort? And Jeremy's like, I don't care.
Whatever, man.
This kid's so
whatever.
much.
This kid is the worst.
I don't give a shit.
Yeah,
buy the car if you want. I don't care.
Whatever. We're going to fucking Maine. Who gives a shit?
There's so many like obnoxious brats of 1980s films, but this kid really takes the cake. I mean, he is
love
just
him.
so.
Yeah, Elliott has this whole other take on Jeremy. Elliott's a fan. You're standing.
I love Jeremy. We stand a short king.
I did not like him.
I just like, so okay.
You just like kids that walk around going, fuck you, old man.
Like, I do think it gets a little excessive once he's becoming part of the vampire society. And honestly, that whole part of the, I mean, it really drags. By the
time he starts macking on 11-year-old, Tara Reid.
When they started making out, that was super weird to watch.
Weird.
I'm like, I don't want to watch children kiss in a movie.
Michael Moriarty's a piece, like his dad's a piece of shit. His mom clearly doesn't care, and he says there's been a whole string of dudes that she's been dating. I'm just
some of whom I liked more than you, old man.
Smoke. You can drive. Apparently, that cut, that like hard cut from "Do you know how to drive?" Yeah, that's one thing I know how to do. Cut to him like he can barely see.
Yeah, he's barely. And Moriarty's just leaning up against the window, going, "Yeah, that's pretty great. I don't have to do anything but reminisce about the 17-year-old girl I almost banged."
Oh, I'll tell you, man, she was a hot piece if I've ever seen one. It's like, holy shit.
The way this stuff is written, I mean, the way the dialogue is written and the characters are conceived, it's like this person who's writing it doesn't know humans.
Did Cohen write this?
Because none of these make sense. I know they're eccentric father-son relationships and I know that there are probably fathers and sons that are like going, there was this broad back in 84. I swear to God, she gay. I bet there's that kind of conversation happening between fathers and sons, but maybe not like a 40-year-old dad and an 11-year-old child. Just sitting there going, what the fuck is this?
I'm looking at Larry Cohen did write this, but he co-wrote it with James Dixon, one of his frequent actors who's also in this movie.
Oh.
As a character named Raines. Which one was that?
Oh, yeah, Raines. He's the cops. He's
he's the constable,
the hybrids or the drones that looks after the vampires.
He's the main
They don't
constable
like to be called
guy,
drones.
Right? Yeah, no,
I know it's
that's
derogatory,
offensive.
and I'm sorry about that.
Yeah, how dare you? How dare you drop the
The
D word on
Renfields.
this show? Yeah,
The Renfields.
The Renfields of the bunch, which, once again, what a huge step down, because last time we had James Mason as our familiar, and he's fucking amazing in that movie. And
he really is.
Here we got this guy, going, yeah, well, I'm the grandson of, the vampire leader there, so, yep.
But I might as well be dirt to him.
Yeah,
I'd like to help you living folks. You know what?
We got
still got to bring people to my granddad.
We got these paunchy cops wandering around, going like, yeah, and we protect the vampires and whatnot. Sure.
What this movie didn't even bother to do once we get to Salem's Lot is they're not trying to convince us at all it's Maine. Now, you could say the TV movie didn't do too much, but there are a few people attempting sort of the Maine accent.
Oh, yep.
This thing's got nothing. Nothing. But you do start off with them rolling into town into like kind of the same sort of gas station convenience store that you would have seen in like Texas Chainsaw Massacre, where it's like this just a staring local who just is weird and staring all the time. Like, yeah, you need to get to where? And he's like, wow, did they remodel this schoolhouse? They kept it the way it's like a historical thing.
Society. That's right.
And he just keeps looking at the kid.
I know. It's so much uncomfortable, like, kid staring. In this movie.
So there's a lot of uncomfortable kid staring.
This actor who plays the garage attendant here, Brad Rizin, is only in Larry Cohen movies. He's in 5. He has 5 credits, all of which are directed by Larry Cohen.
Why would you be in anything else?
I just love the idea that Larry Cohen just had his people, man, and he just kept putting them in stuff, which I normally enjoy, except for Larry Cohen makes terrible movies.
Well, this was his last one though, so this is where he stopped.
This actor, this is his final performance here. This is it, man. He goes out on top after his previous role as an uncredited supermarket clerk in The Stuff.
I kind of like The Stuff too.
I mean,
schlock, but it's fun.
That's fun schlock though. I too enjoyed The Stuff.
But anyway, so he gets directions because you would need to, I guess, to your own aunt's place that you grew up in for a while.
Like,
well, actually, I think we did talk about this in the previous Salem's Lot, that Ben Mears, who spent like a couple years there as a kid, did know where everything in Salem's Lot was.
Well, that's the flip. In the original Salem's Lot, Ben Mears shows up going, no problem. Got it.
No,
I lived here for 2 years, but I know where everything is.
Like, weren't you last here when you were like 13?
Doesn't matter.
Has this town changed? Yeah. No? Then, I got it pretty down.
Oh, that's just 2 blocks up the road and 3 down. Like, okay.
But I love that Aunt Clara's cabin that has been left to him in a will is
it's a bungalow,
up on a hill.
Brendan. It's a bungalow.
Sorry. It's up on a hill with no road access.
Oh, no.
That cracked me up when the cops drive up to check on him, is that the cops are down the hill in their car. They don't drive up to the place. I love that the kid automatically is like, we got gas. Cops are looking. They haven't even parked yet. And they're not near the home. Why is this kid going, yeah, they're here for us? You mean the people that are literally 2 football fields away in a car? Yeah, they're probably here for us.
Yeah,
this kid's
get out
used
of the house. This kid's used to the cops looking for him.
To be harassed by the cops.
Yeah. Here we go, man. It's the pigs.
It's the pigs. They came
also
for us.
Also, probably why I like Jeremy. Jeremy says ACAB.
Well, these cops certainly are bastards.
Elliott, you're a graphic designer. Why don't you just go ahead and make a Jeremy t-shirt? Come on.
We'll put it out for the show. We can have a Jeremy t-shirt. What should it say?
Well, it should probably say, "Sorry, I scared off all the bear titty."
Jeremy, I'll make some Jeremy stickers. We'll have a Jeremy sticker that says, "I'm fucked up."
Yeah.
I'm fucked up.
That's it. Yeah. It's got to be him with the sunglasses, right? Like lowering the sunglasses down and saying, "I'm fucked up." Yeah, man. I love it. I love it. Yeah. So, and yeah, these cops immediately are like, "Hey, what are you doing, man? And could we see if you claim to own this place, do you have the deed on you?" And he sure does.
And Michael Moriarty does.
Yeah, of course.
Somehow.
Yeah, keep that in my wallet all the time.
That he has it may not be that surprising if they went there, but the fact that when he walks down the hill, he's just got it in his pocket.
Yeah.
That cracks me. I was like, why? As a matter of fact, I do.
People are always asking for the deed to stuff, and can you show that?
And they're like,
deed?
And he's like, can I get that? I love how screenwriters occasionally will just be filling pages. It's like, does this go anywhere? No. This whole thing of like, can I get that back? Well, the only reason they bring this dialogue up of, can I have that back? We need to take it in and show it to the judge, and is so they can say, you can get it from the judge. He lives in the big white house at the end of Main Street.
It's just
that's the only reason the judge.
It's like the judge and where he lives.
Yeah.
Because Michael Moriarty will go there. But I'm just sitting there going, Jesus Christ, man, this is...
And if we can move to kind of the next thing that happens, that he does in fact
we will not move past this.
I don't even have my notes on me because it doesn't matter at this point. So yeah.
No, it really doesn't.
Yeah.
He does go there after the most confusing chase scene in honestly the history of film, probably. Because we get the like punk rock kids who are driving through Salem's Lot, and they get stopped by the cops.
Yeah.
And then they start getting eaten by the vampires, and they let the one girl, like, this is Rains or whatever, who's like, go to the church.
Yes.
And then go to the cabin
we're
or
not
whatever.
sure about his allegiance to anything, right? He seems to be kind of with the vampires. At
this point, we don't know that backstory, so it gets very confusing because it does look like he's aware of vampires, and he seems to be trying to save somebody. But then the second she runs away, he's literally standing shoulder to shoulder with the vampires, and then he goes, wipe your mouth.
I do love the vampires who are like, what'd you say about our town?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, because the punk kid's like, the one that survives for a few minutes, is the one that's making the most fun and going, they're gonna say the fly. She's doing this weird performance.
She keeps doing the voice.
Another
and it's like,
piece of shit character in this movie.
Yeah.
It's like, you'll never come back from Salem's Lot.
And this
it's
vampire
like the kids
seems
making fun of Crystal Lake before they go there.
The vampire guy, though, seems legitimately offended, which is fun. What'd you say about our town? You know, we weren't gonna eat you, but now we are. Like,
even though we explicitly were gonna eat you because it is a holiday or whatever.
Right.
Yes.
I'm gonna drink even more of your blood than usual for those comments.
So, like, she goes to this church, does some pointless praying, which they've all planned on, it seems. Like, they want her to go to the church, and they want her to go to Michael Moriarty's house.
Yeah.
It's another awkward scene because she's just like, oh, God. Oh, save me. Oh, Jesus.
Well, this goes
God,
on way too
me.
long. But also, can we talk about the first look we get at this rubber monster?
Oh, my God.
Oh, this is
so bad.
100%
so bad.
what has been deemed by a lot of horror fans as a rubber movie because, oh man, this looks like a lot of B-movie schlock from the 80s.
Yeah.
This like...
It looks like the Ghoulies or the... What was the one with the M? What were they called? The Munchies? But yeah, these like big rubber... latex creations, and I guess what they're trying to do, though they kind of imply later, is the vampires have been here so long, is like some of them, I mean, they can all appear human, but they have a true vampire form. This is supposed to be, I guess they're leaning into like the Nosferatu Barlow thing, but instead of having a guy in makeup, it's a puppet head. Yeah. It's a big, stupid looking Jim Henson Factory knockoff rubber head.
Laughing when this thing showed up on screen.
Oh God!
Wall-eyed.
And just like moving on a piece of stick, like they had.
Because you only see the head and the hands. Like there is no
Oh,
and
the
weight
hands
to any of these things.
The hands are like these long tendril fingers with claws.
Yeah.
And I do like of course, those grab and like crush a couple people's heads, of course.
Yes. Yeah. Oh God.
Yes.
You've got to.
Oh,
You've got
God.
to. But yeah, this I'm immediately going like, oh yeah, this is Larry Cohen territory.
Yeah.
Terrible.
And then before we get the payoff, I say payoff very loosely.
Yeah.
With this random punk chick, we do get the weird scene with the drifters by the fire.
Same night, yes. All this is happening in the same night.
Like this is the
I mean, we're talking
Salem's
we're
Lot.
talking full on like 1930s drunk hobo characters, right?
Yeah.
And yet they look like, and I didn't actually look it up, but they look as if those are the kinds of parts that the filmmakers would always fill with filmmaker friends. I was sitting there going, this could probably be one of the guys from Trauma and somebody else. Because
this feels like a Lloyd Kaufman role.
It does. It does. It has that feel because even though they're dressed like 30s hobos, they still have like 80s coiffed hair.
Yeah.
And they are clearly bad acting drunk. As they're like, oh, what are you doing there? And then they do bad physical comedy with a bottle of booze. And then kids show up in these turn of the century clothes and it's like he is like, oh, come here, little girl, we're being creepy, why don't you come closer?
Oh, he goes, she thinks I'm scary, come over here closer and I'll show her how scary I really am.
And then when a boy shows up in the tree and he's, oh, you brought a little friend, blah, blah, blah. And then there's like 6 of them and it's just kid actors who aren't even actors who are giggling and half of them are kind of looking over at the camera too, but then they're like, our job is just to laugh and then close in on them, and then the guys go, "Ah, no!"
Well, there's something about like if they get any closer, I'm gonna bop them.
Yeah.
And by the way, these guys are nobodies, Brendan, just total nobody.
Okay, but it had that feel.
Yeah.
Yeah. And like, I mean, this is true with every scene. We said it a couple times, but just like it's a sequence that goes on far too long. And really, that's every scene in the movie.
And doesn't add anything.
Yeah.
But yes, you're right, Elliot. In this scene, there's this implication, and it is a very confusing chase scene. The implication we find out later, because we also had whispered talk. You hear whispers occasionally. It seems like the entire town has been waiting for Joseph, who's Michael Moriarty, and Jeremy to show up. So you hear these voices going, he's with us. Jeremy's here. Joe's here. Yeah. Oh, it's great. And then, did we already miss the school scene? Because I have to talk about the school scene. When he he tells Jeremy,
let's just talk about it now.
Why not go to the school?
Why not?
Go explore the town a little. You mean get lost? Yeah, I'll see you in like an hour.
Yeah,
why not just talk about it now?
Like,
who cares about the order of anything in this movie, really?
So the kid, Jeremy, goes to, it's broad daylight, he goes to the school, and the school is empty, and they're trying to make it scary by doing the whisper voices. That what made me think of it.
There's
and
nothing
he
that even
gets to a staircase, looks down it, and then Brett Gelman, the comedian, pops up, and
he did. He looked like Brett Gelman.
The guy in this movie, he only shows up like in 2 scenes, including at the end. I think he's one of the familiars, one of the drones. I'm using the term.
And he is going like, "What are you doing here?"
Yeah, it's a jump scare. He's like, "What are you doing here, kid?"
And I'm gonna admit, it got me because I'm very jumpy as a person, and I was mad that it got me because immediately after that, I was like, immediately afterwards, I was like, okay, Jeremy started to go down the stairs and then for some reason changed his mind and started going back up and then started to leave and then looked back over the banister, and that's when the jump scare happens. There is no way he did not see that man.
That guy would have to be right
coming up the stairs. I know. It's so stupid.
No, it's
what are you doing here, kid?
It's one of those things where like
Jeremy runs.
It's one of those things where you talk about it gets you only because it's just a raise in volume. Right?
Yes.
It's just a suddenly
loud
noise.
A sudden popped up, guy with a beard.
Yeah, and it's
guy with a beard pops up. I'm scared. All the time.
I am a connoisseur of
Brendan. I didn't see
oh, Jesus Christ. No, I'm a connoisseur. Like, I really appreciate, and you rarely see like a truly good jump scare. I can point to very few like very well crafted jump scares in movies.
Aliens got me in the theater. When the first time I saw Aliens, when it first opened, there's a great jump scare in Aliens, and I literally was like, good on you, Mr. Cameron.
That's
good on you, because I'm not usually Mr. Jump Scare, but
you have to craft the tension that leads up to the jump scare, and so many.
And you have to obscure your angle too, and also it's not where your eye is. It's, you're looking at the character, and then something does that. You're like, play.
I do agree with the Spielberg statement. If you can really only truly get an audience once, maybe twice, before you start to get into the rhythm of a jump scare movie, where you're like, and here. And yes, I do think maybe Spielberg did the best one ever. We're back to talking about Jaws.
That's
which is
a good one too.
When the head comes out of that boat is a masterpiece of a jump scare.
When the body appears at that porthole. It's a great jump scare.
It's great because it's a misdirection. You're worried about the shark. Suddenly we've got this head floating out. Great. Not this though. Larry Cohen. I don't remember being scared of any Larry Cohen movie.
Though again, Brett Gelman just I
didn't know he was that old that he could be in this. No, but no, it is the scare is startling, but then when you just like, oh, it's just a guy. It's just some guy.
Just a guy yelling at a kid. But back to that night. So the punk gal has prayed. I can't remember how Michael Moriarty finds her.
Well, so she does. So the thing is, she goes from the church to his house. Like the cop told her to.
Oh.
Yeah,
because he's like, go to that house on the hill.
Yeah, go to Michael Moriarty. Right. And so she shows up there as these two fucking dum-dums are trying to fix the place up. Oh, good luck, you two.
Ridiculous.
They look like a couple of handy
and
fellas.
He's like, what's going on? She's like, you won't believe me. You won't believe they killed everybody. You're not going to believe me. He's like, just calm down. He's like, Jeremy, go get her some water.
Yeah.
Yeah. Michael Moriarty completely unfazed by this.
Yeah. No, it's like, whatever.
And then
I'm an anthropologist.
Ma'am, you're being super ethnocentric right now. But so he and Jeremy take her to the judge's house.
Yeah.
I don't remember how he arrives at that decision. Like, let's go see the judge.
You know, the judge, I'm sure he can help us.
That's hilarious because in any situation you would say, I'm going to get the constable or we need to see the police. But yes, in this movie, we have a character who's supposedly an intelligent man says, he's like, well, you know what we need to do. We're taking you to the judge.
Yeah.
What?
We got to skip the whole law enforcement system and go straight to the top, baby.
You were just attacked? We're going to the comptroller.
Also, isn't the judge really... It seems to me that Judge Axel is really the mayor of the town, right?
Yeah.
They should have just made him the mayor. It's weird that he's the judge.
With a town this small that is like, 4 buildings and no dogs and 4 buildings and a bunch of cows.
Yeah.
No, there is one dog that we keep seeing, and the gag is the dog's always asleep.
Yes,
hilarious.
That's true.
And again, I laughed every time they showed that dog.
Oh, that dog's still sleeping.
So fucking.
People are running for their lives, and the dog still's like,
he don't give a shit.
Somebody come pat me.
I mean, to be fair, my cat Columbo slept through the entire runtime of this movie. So, and I was jealous of him. I'm like,
I know.
buddy.
I did lose. There are some parts of this movie where I'm going to be a little spotty. It sort of lost me a little bit.
Should I need to? My notes are over on another table, and I have yet to need to go get them, but they are there. And I did take diligent notes, as I always do.
I'm so sorry you did.
In some ways, the notes help. Because at least it's another thing to. It's like, okay, well, this is shit, but I'm gonna at least keep track of things, and it distances me from the movies a little bit.
One thing this movie does, I mean, I'm not saying good or bad, but one thing this thing does is a lot of vampire movies or horror movies, they want the central characters to have to discover these things gradually.
Yeah.
This movie pretty quickly. I mean, in this next scene, basically, is all about, no, we're vampires. Hi, how you doing? We're all vampires.
Yeah.
So it does. It just lays it out there. And the rest of the movie is just how Michael Moriarty and his fucking kid are going to deal with living in a town full of vampires who promise not to hurt them.
It's Grover's Corner, a vampire. Isn't that what it is in our town?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I thought. I was in that. I should know.
I was too.
Were you in it? Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Wow.
Here in Salem's Lot, a lot of things have happened and a lot of people have died.
I was
here's Aunt Clara.
I was the busybody. I don't remember her name, but
I was the town professor. I was the
At what point
guy going,
in
like,
your
let me
productions,
tell you
both
about
of your
this.
productions,
Yeah.
how did you guys do the famous scene in our town where all the people descend on some sleeping cows and chew on their necks? How did you guys stage that?
It was a lot of implication in our version, yeah.
Our school didn't have like a huge theater budget, and our director was like really like, I don't know, not like, kind of was thought cerebrally about theater and kind of like out there. So it was very interpretive.
Right. It's like, just indicate there's a cow there. We don't actually
well, that
need
was
to,
lots of like red fabric. Yeah.
No. Well, our town is great because it's, I mean, I'm surprised you didn't do it, Brendan, because it's such a staple of high school or college theater.
Yeah.
Because
I'm sorry, I was too busy doing Hedda Gabler, okay? I was doing Ibsen in high school.
It has so many parts, and it can be done for so cheap.
Oh,
that's true. Everyone just sitting in chairs.
Yeah,
this is my grave.
Yeah, exactly. Like I was one of the pallbearers of the funeral scene, and we had to mime, and so we all had to do it. That was hard. We had to do it all in sync, matching the size of the coffin we're carrying, and we would just get screamed at about that. I'm like, I'm not a mime, man. Get off my ass. I'm not trained in this shit.
I'm 17.
Get off my back,
like
old
Marcel
man.
Marceau to you?
Yeah. Shut the fuck up, old man, is what I said to the drama
look like
teacher.
Mummenschatz?
So they go to the judge's house, and he goes, "Oh yes, come on in. We're just having a little dinner party here for some of the folks here in town." And this is where he introduces them to everybody, and oh yeah, Jeremy immediately makes eyes at Tara Reid.
Yes, Tara Reid is a child. She's 11, and so it's mostly old folks at this dinner table. But we have and here's what I don't get. Okay, yes, if we're playing off old Our Town, sure, they're all wearing like early 20th century small town clothes. It's like Music Man all of a sudden.
Yeah.
But the thing is, I'm sitting there going, but they do know they're in the 80s, right? And the whole thing is that they're living amongst us eternally, immortally.
Yeah.
Maybe they should keep up with the fucking times.
No, they keep to themselves here in Salem's Lot.
Apparently. But yes, Jeremy's like, that's a cute young girl.
And I will say, watching this, and this is her film debut, I'm going, I see some of the troubles beginning for Tara Reid, that she's instantly sexualized as an 11-year-old in her first movie, and she's already a sex object.
Yeah.
I wouldn't say she's a sex object. I mean, she's
a
dressed like Shirley Temple, but
no,
the whole
but
thing is that
she is sexualized. I don't know if she's a sex object. That might be. But there is this temptress aspect to her. It's all in this old-timey, we're going to marry and be together forever, but it is still like Jeremy. Come on, Jeremy makes I've got boner eyes.
It's true, and I think that's the way it was directed. I mean, what's weird for me, and we'll get into it, is
Larry Cohen direction is you've got a boner.
If these are kid vampires, they're not children anymore.
No.
I mean, the thing is, the people have been old people for a long time because they're vampires. The kids have been maybe a century of being. So why are they still in fucking school taking lessons? I mean, Larry Cohen and other screenwriter, call me so I can talk you through some of the logic problems in your goddamn script.
We've been waiting to graduate the 4th grade for 150 years.
Turn to page 135. I have it memorized. I memorized it in 1953. I am so bored with this fucking text.
You know, the eternally kid vampires is a running thing we've talked about. We did Near Dark
we have
recently.
A child vampire wedding in this, which is fucked up enough.
Okay, I will actually say that is one of the, it's not scary, but it is disturbing. It is one of the most disturbing things in the movie that I wish, I mean, that's getting into almost like Village of the Damned, Children of the Corn kind of imagery sort of stuff that I am like, ooh, that is creepy, and I wish the movie had leaned more into that tone.
I will say this is a Larry Cohen thing, and I don't begrudge him. In fact,
kid weddings, classic Larry Cohen.
No, not that. He gets some good performances out of actors who, it's similar to Joe Dante, where it's like, let me get some of the old timers who haven't gotten any roles in a long time.
Yeah,
true. They're hammy, but I have a feeling Larry Cohen was like going, yeah, ham it up. But you've got Evelyn Keyes in this movie. Yeah. It's her last role. Yeah. June Havoc. It's her last role. And Andrew Duggan is the judge.
Yeah.
And we just saw him in Frankenstein Island a few weeks ago.
Jesus Christ.
But, I mean, he had a long, long career, a lot of TV stuff, too.
By the way, Frankenstein Island makes this thing look like a masterpiece.
Yes. But they show up and they do this, and I'm like, well, that's a way to go out, I guess. Your last film being Return to Salem's Lot. Because Aunt Clara is also here as, like, the maid. The judge's maid.
Yeah, I guess.
And the judge goes, don't you recognize her, or has time? You know, he's like, and Michael Moriarty's like, what the fuck? I thought Aunt Clara was dead.
In fact, I know she's dead because she left me the house we're living in.
Yeah, and I stood at her tombstone, or will. And no, he already has by this point.
Yeah.
So confusing.
It's
as to why anything happens.
By the way, Brendan,
except for this first bit.
By the way, Brendan, I felt physical pain when you in any way compared Larry Cohen and Joe Dante.
I will say that there are lots of genre directors who, and it seems to be a lot with the genre directors, will often pay tribute to older generation actors who are B or C level actors, or they'll bring in, as I said before, lots of film references and other directors. I mean, this has Sam Fuller, a great director.
Well, I was going to say, though, I mean, this is something that will...
great director. Shock Corridor is great, but I mean...
Big Red One is really good.
Big Red One is very good, too. I mean, he made interesting films.
He did. But I was going to say, this is something that would come on to define on a major level Tarantino, obviously, in the 90s.
Oh, yes.
But anyway, sorry. Elliot, back to your point.
Oh, but so, right, this is the scene where, like, the conceit of the movie, presents itself. Because Aunt Clara and Judge Axel's wife, and I think the doctor's wife, I don't know, they drag this girl off, and she's screaming in the background. And Michael Moriarty, again, just like completely dead face, like, they're killing him there, aren't they?
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, he seems, you could say maybe he's a little stunned, but instead, I mean, that's not how you play that scene. A woman that was in your care for half a second, you hear her screams for mercy, and he just goes, they're killing her, aren't they?
Yeah.
Huh.
He's coming at it with the distance of an anthropologist.
Yes.
I think that's actually in some ways might be the thing, because we see at the beginning when he has no reaction to the guy being murdered, right? That his whole thing is just like fascinating. But that's not how he plays the character in other scenes. That would be an interesting take. And actually, the conceit of the movie is another thing that I could imagine being a good movie. Anthropologists brought to town of vampires because we want you to write our Bible. That's
an interesting idea. That's an interesting idea.
Yeah, even and Axel. I mean, right? Because we can't. We got to hit it over the head at every turn. Says of your reputation, how ruthless you are. I think we want you to write our Bible because we don't care about people.
We've waited all these years to find a complete asshole of an anthropologist.
The kind of guy who'd punch his own cameraman in the eye.
Yeah. The moment we heard about that, we knew that's our guy.
Also, you lived here for a while, so we kind of know.
Yeah, that also helped.
I mean, you kept, you wrote Aunt Clara about how dick you were, and she was like, "Hey, this guy here."
So basically, I do love the scene where he introduces it, and he goes, well, what we are is the oldest being on Earth, or whatever, the oldest, and then it's just like, come on, you know it. Let's all say it together.
Say it out loud.
Yeah. Give me a V.
Yeah.
Give me an A.
Give
me an A. It goes on.
It is kind of that scene from Twilight, right? It's like vampire.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah. Which I've only seen the.
He goes, say it again. Say it stronger.
Yeah.
And he's like, vampires.
What's
You're
that
vampires.
word? By the way, you talk about the Music Man. It's like, what's that word? Vampire, vampire.
We got vampires, my friend, right here in River City,
Right
with a capital V, and that rhymes with P, and that stands for pool.
Vampire. Oh wait.
But it's I guess that's an interesting way to do it, where they're just out and saying it. And then I did hate, it may not be in this scene, but they do something it's another one of the judge scenes where he's like going, see this? Garlic. Not a thing.
Oh, yeah.
Look in this mirror. Who's that? That's me. I look very handsome. That's also a lie. And he just basically goes down the list and goes, but then he's basically like, but we don't like the sun.
Yeah.
No, that much is true.
We don't fuck with the sun.
It's like some bits that are supposed to be comedic, but the tone just isn't there.
No,
I know.
It really needed to. Also, we have not talked about the dreadful score in this movie.
Oh my god!
Which is trying to do this I don't know, sort of carpentry kind of.
At the very beginning, I thought, because it is synthy, it's 1987, and they're trying to kind of go. They're trying to do something that's kind of Carpenter-esque, but without any talent. Yeah. And then it just continues being bad, and we don't even get an Oingo Boingo song in this one. So fuck this movie.
We got 2 in Teen Wolf 2, so that was pleasant.
I know.
We got 2 Oingo Boingo songs, and then whatever that "Send Me an Angel." So yeah, right now I could have used an angel in this thing. Jesus Christ,
I could have used something.
Yeah,
something, because at this point is where it starts to get fuzzy for me, because from what I'm remembering, because I took notes too, and they sort of stop at the scene at the judge's house and pick up at the end.
When they hears the girl being killed in the back, the judge does pull a gun on Michael Moriarty too, which was interesting.
Right.
He pulls an old Derringer.
When he's presented what he wants, which is the judge does say, we wanted you here because you're an anthropologist, and we want you to write our book. We want you to write our Bible, which seems weird. I can understand we want you to study us and do something about our culture. Yeah. But him wanting them to write his Bible, wouldn't you want someone of your own faith, if indeed we're talking about a faith, writing the Bible, not we hired a ghostwriter?
I don't think they are. He
does say later that he wanted Michael Moriarty to take his place as
yes.
He's like head vampire for whatever reason, because it's you're a vampire. It's not like you're gonna die unless you commit suicide.
Yeah. Well, his wife also says enough of these. She goes, you keep trying to make it to where humans and vampires can get along.
Well, he's the Professor
It sounds
X
like he wanted
vampires.
Michael Moriarty to be his replacement, but not as a vampire. Just to take over the community. And he's like, it's like an experiment or something, but it's still dumb.
That also sounds more interesting. That also sounds
the real tagline of the movie. Yeah. It's still dumb.
It's still dumb. Return to Salem's Lot. Still dumb.
It's still dumb.
I was just I was texting somebody while I was watching this, and I go well, the end kind of just retreads the end of the first Salem's Lot, but way stupider.
Yes. It's the same thing, only really dumb.
Yeah.
But so when Michael Moriarty is kind of agreeing to it, but I think at this point, I think he's lying.
The son has gone off.
I'm just going to tell you what you want to hear, and I'm going to get out with my kid as soon as I can.
The son has Jeremy has gone off to watch the kid vampire wedding. Which,
right.
The kid
and hang out with Tara Reid.
Yeah, the kid who's the groom has this. He has no lines, but he has this great take when after they turn around and it's like, "That's right, we're children getting married." And he's walking down the aisle and he gives this head nod to Jeremy, "That's right, bagged myself a child bride." Yeah.
What?
Yeah. How about it, buddy?
I'm 104 and she's 110. That's right. I like the older women.
Yeah. Yeah. No, it's
and
just
yet we both have underdeveloped genitalia.
And
we're vampires.
Yeah.
What's the point of a kid wedding? But so the whole thing is.
Sorry, the quote of the show is, "What's the point of a kid wedding?"
When Michael Moriarty leaves the judge's place, and they're like, "You have a nice night now," or whatever. It's like, is it the teacher guy who's one of the other vampires? He goes, is that gun even real? He goes, oh no, this thing, I haven't had it loaded since 1928 or something.
Yeah, like hasn't been shot in 100 years.
But he said, then he has some weird line. He goes, but from our understanding, those mortals sure are afraid of firearms.
Yeah, they fear bullets more than fangs or something like that. You're like, Jesus Christ, I hate this movie.
There is something funny to me anytime like a vampire or some supernatural creature pulls a gun. It always just seems so like if Dracula just busted out a gun in one of his, you're just like, well, that seems like that's actually less powerful than what you can do. Sure.
Oh no, the werewolf has a switchblade.
Yeah, I got you right in my sights, Van Helsing. Don't move a muscle. Yeah.
Like he gives him a tour, a brief tour of the town, and they're like taking care of cows, and he's like, yeah, we feed on cows except on special occasions like tonight.
Yeah.
Yes, he keeps trying to like go, we're not evil. He goes, look, the thing is we drink cow blood, which is fine. Now, I got to be honest, human blood's better, but we decided not to do it, except for every now and then when it's a holiday.
But then he's also like, but it's also like dangerous to drink human blood these days because of like diseases and drugs.
Yeah, there's a
and then they
AIDS
also are like,
mention.
yeah, this girl's been on drugs, but we're still gonna drink her blood. It's just I hate this.
Well, and actually, they don't let him leave here. They say, go upstairs. There's a surprise for you.
Yep.
And it's his old flame, and she's still 17, baby.
Yeah, he had mentioned to his son that when he had lived in Salem's Lot as a kid, when he was like 13 or 14, he had fallen for this 17-year-old.
Yeah.
And Aunt Clara was like, oh, that can only lead to trouble. So that's why he was sent away from Salem's Lot before he got into trouble with this older woman. And now the big surprise, the vampires are like going, head on upstairs. You're going to dig this.
Now you're
and
45.
Whatever her name is.
Perfect for this 17-year-old.
And the 17-year-old's been waiting for him the whole time.
Mm-hmm.
She is so well preserved that her voice is actually coming from somewhere else.
Every line of dialogue.
I love it. It is so Andie MacDowell in Greystoke. Her entire performance has been replaced in ADR.
Yeah.
Someone else is like, I missed you, Joseph. I waited this whole time, and now we can get busy because you're in your 40s.
This is a thing that just doesn't really happen in movies anymore, but it used to be pretty commonplace where they would hire people and then go, ooh, actually, we don't like their voice. Let's just replace the whole thing.
Yeah.
Which is crazy, and it never looks right.
I don't think they did that purposefully here. They probably like, we'll give you a shot. And then, like, dailies are like, wow.
No, I mean, oftentimes it is that, where it's just sort of like, oh, we looked at it and actually, we'll just put in another voice. That works. No, it doesn't.
But I can kind of tell this actress is, she's 80s hot, but I can tell that
aggressively
you can just
so.
look at her face,
and
I'm just sitting there going, she's not a good actor.
I'm pretty sure the only criteria to be in a Larry Cohen movie, you gonna take that top off?
I think so. That was probably her purpose because this movie, it does not skimp on gore. There's plenty of blood. It's all fakey fake. Everything.
It's not. I mean,
the heart that's ripped out of the chest at the beginning is fakey fake.
Yeah.
All of it's fake.
As the resident gorehound on the show, this is not satisfying blood, though.
No, not really. But here you have the token topless scene, and you're like, oh,
because it's 1987. It has to be, yeah. It's just like, this is just mandated.
Teen Wolf 2 was this close to have... No, I'm joking.
Well, I mean, we still got the PG equivalent, which is that girl who answered the door in her bra and panties, of course.
Yeah. So this was R, right?
Yes. Oh, yeah.
The after release R, of course.
Yeah.
Hard R for language, at least.
Oh my God! Yeah.
The amount of F words. I mean, forget any violence or nudity. This is maybe this is challenging Goodfellas for the most F words in a movie, right?
And they're all delivered by a 12-year-old.
Yeah, the vast majority of them are on Jeremy. Fuck you, Dad!
You motherfucking piece of shit, vampire piece of goddamn shit.
Well, I do like when Sam Fuller shows up and he's dropping the old man like son of a bitch, goddamn, But yeah, we'll talk about Sam Fuller because that performance is one for the ages.
Again, I at least enjoyed it.
I did too.
Yeah.
It is, but he is just Sam Fuller, is what I love.
Yeah, he's just being Sam Fuller.
He's just
including his hatred of Nazis.
Yeah, famously Sam Fuller. I mean, he made enough movies where people killed Nazis, so yeah. Boy, the Nazi aspect of this comes out of nowhere and goes nowhere.
Yeah,
really.
and because the thing that I couldn't remember until, it was explained in the movie from hearing the synopsis from these other two guys was like I couldn't remember if Van Meer was there to actually hunt down a Nazi or if he was there to hunt vampires under the guise of hunting Nazis. I literally couldn't remember
it's
where
both,
he was
right?
on that.
Like he's hunting a Nazi, but he's unfazed by it also being vampires.
Yes, he's down to fuck up whatever.
Yeah.
Right. He's there hunting a specific Nazi, and then he finds out they're vampires, and it's not even like a blink. He just goes, "Yeah, well, I grew up in the Balkans. All right, I grew up in Romania." He's like,
did
I
he
can
though?
kill whatever.
Because he sure sounds like he's from the Bronx to me, but like Fuller's so just like, yeah, I'm from the Balkans. I spent my youth in the Carpathian Mountains.
Yeah.
Fucking yeah. Come on. Yeah, he's from, of course. I'm looking. Sam Fuller, born in Worcester, Massachusetts. That adds up.
Yeah.
Fucking vampires. Come on. Go suck.
Yeah. And like he and Jeremy meet up with Van Meer on their way to the school for like the open school night.
I just don't want to skip past one line, which is the next morning where he and Jeremy meet back up.
No, we already said the best line in the movie.
Yeah. Didn't they tell you? I'm fucked up.
No, that's not it.
I think it's, for me, it's not the line itself, it's the context of this. And he's like, hey, you seem different today, Jeremy.
Oh my God.
And then he's like, what? Did you get laid? He asks his, 12-year-old son?
I will give him this much credit. I will give Michael Moriarty this much actor's credit, is that on his face, he at least looks like, I can't believe I'm about to ask my 12-year-old son this. And I think that's a little bit of the actor going, this is a horrible part of the script, but if I play it this way, even my character's like,
I like the idea.
Did you get laid last night? So it's like, I can't believe I'm asking.
And
then Jeremy goes, fuck yeah, I did.
Well,
Her
also,
name is Tara.
This. Tara Reid. I think this is the last time we'll talk about Tara Reid, but I don't know. Maybe not. She's in a lot of.
We don't have any Yui Bowl. Do we have any Yui Bowl movies?
No, I don't think he's made it. He's done zombies, but I don't think he's done like vampires or where. Oh no, we do. Blood Rain.
Blood Rain.
We're doing Blood Rain.
Oh, based
Tara
on the
Reid's
video
not
game?
in any of
She's
those,
not in it.
so,
No, she's not in it. She's in some of his movies though, but she's in House of the Dead or one of those.
Is she in
No, she's in Alone in the Dark. That's the one she's in.
Yeah.
That's the one she's in with Christian Slater.
Yeah.
Greetings and salutations.
The thing I was gonna say when I don't remember what her character's name is, Patricia or something. Honestly, I think this is Tara Reid's best performance.
Amanda is her character's name.
Amanda. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, probably. It's either this or like her one line in Big Lebowski.
Yeah.
Oh, actually.
Yeah.
I'd have to go with that. But I love her death scene in this movie where there's like a foreground fire and she's obviously yards away, but it's supposed to be like she's burning, and she just, in a very little kid way, just puts her arms up, is like, I am burning and dead.
It's so good. That was one of my notes. I love.
Here's the thing.
I love her very, very believably lying down in a flaming coffin.
It's so good.
I'm burning.
Well, and I guess I'll burn to death. It's so weird. Her career. This is her debut in '87. She does not work again until '94. And then starts her career. So it's like she did this one thing as a kid and then doesn't work again until she's like a teenager and then goes on.
She spent a lot of time on the stage. She's a Broadway baby.
She tread the boards.
I can't imagine.
I do know she went to a performing arts high school, though, only because I listened to the Scrubs podcast and they had her on because she did an arc on there as Zach Braff's girlfriend.
Yes.
And they had her on, and she and Donald Faison had gone to the performing arts high school in like Beverly Hills together.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So Anyway, I guess she always took the craft seriously. I think she's Stanislavski trained, if I'm not mistaken.
She could have probably had a much better career had she not been sidetracked by drugs.
Yeah, well, she never really had a lot of talent from the things. I mean, to be fair, how good can it? Well, I was gonna say, how good can anyone be in Van Wilder? But it did make Ryan Reynolds a star, so I don't know. He is fucking great in that terrible movie.
A girl in a pizza place made Ryan Reynolds a star.
Yeah, who could forget? They really ran that pizza place. They really did. So anyway, sorry, I just wanted to get that scene where he asked his son if he got laid. Also, in this scene, Michael Moriarty is sawing wood and cuts his finger, and we see the son lick his lips.
Yeah. Jeremy, tries it, do I want to be a vampire?
The implication is sort of that he's, that night he spent running around with the kid vampires and his lady love, Olive 11, seems to have... He didn't get bitten, but he seems to be on the road, like he's been ensorcelled.
He's been glamored.
He's been glamored is the term. Yeah. So he's pretty much already sitting there going, dude, being a human sucks. You know what's cool? Staying out all night with those vampire kids. I also want to dress like I'm going to an ice cream shop in 1910.
Stay up all night, or party all night, sleep all day. Being a vampire.
Never grow old, never die. It's fun to be a vampire.
It's fun to be a vampire.
I looked up at Elliott, who had the same smile on my face that I did, where it's like, it's the tagline to Lost Boys. And also, of course, the general review of this is just go watch Lost Boys, because it's a masterpiece.
Yeah, just go watch Lost Boys.
Oh, if you haven't already.
Yeah.
But
and yes, I've ordered a t-shirt with the sexy sax man on it that just says, I still believe underneath it.
Yes. As you should, sir. It's the best.
But so until the climax, and again, I'm using these film terms very loosely.
Yeah, we have to use them for discussion's sake.
Until what could theoretically be considered the climax,
or what
I
often like to say, what the filmmakers think is the climax of the movie.
If we're going by textbook definitions,
technically.
Basically, the rest of the movie is Jeremy wants to be a vampire. They're fixing up the house. Dad is briefly conflicted, but doesn't go anywhere about doing this.
Yes, this is very much how I felt once the vampire reveal happened and what they wanted and all that stuff. This movie just is a slog. It's
nothing happens,
slow.
and it is more of reiterating the same things. Jeremy's slow slide into thinking vampires are cool, and the dad being slightly upset about it, but not doing a damn thing. Except for we do have to bring up the weirdest escape attempt I've ever seen in a film.
Is this the scene at the
river?
They
have a vehicle.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
They have a vehicle. We cut to a scene, broad daylight, where Michael Moriarty has thrown his kid over his shoulder.
Yep.
And is full body running out of town, down hills, across a creek, with his son over his shoulder. What the fuck is this?
Suddenly we're in The Fugitive.
Yeah,
we have found out about the drones by this point. We did skip the school scene, which we should talk about.
We should, because the school scene is a good highlight, and by which I mean the only highlight of that scene is the fact that the school is putting on Dracula.
Oh, and I love that it says the school presentation of Dracula by Bram Stoker, and then in parentheses it says our version.
Yeah.
That is the only thing I laughed at legitimately.
Walking past the poster into the hallway, it's a toss away where he goes, I look forward to that.
Yeah.
That's the only thing I legitimately laughed at, sincerely laughed at. I was like, oh, that's pretty good. They have their take on Dracula.
The whole classroom scene is just to do this heavy-handed underscoring of this is where Larry Cohen probably was patting himself on the back going, here's my commentary.
Yeah.
And basically all it is the kids, again, they're kid vampires. They're centuries old. Why are they being taught stuff out of a textbook? And you have the teacher, and the teacher's going, we're going to talk about this section of human history talk about how horrible humans are.
Mm-hmm.
And Jeremy's like, I learned a lot and whatever, sticking around. And the dad says, what you heard was anti-human propaganda. Wow.
Wow.
It's so interesting because I feel like I had to look up when it came out. The next year, Carpenter puts out They Live, which in terms of being a movie about drones, consumerism, placating a public, that's the movie to watch because They Live rules.
Well, it has a 15-minute fist fight.
It's the greatest fist fight in the history of cinema.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Why haven't you already watched it?
Yeah, no, yeah, it's absolutely. I mean, it is Roddy Piper's finest work.
Well, Hell Comes to Frogtown is close.
Hell comes
So
to
that's
Frogtown.
the review is watch Lost Boys and then watch They Live, and you will have a better experience.
Yes, if you watch those two things back to back, you have watched the better version of this movie.
Yeah.
Or I guess watch Salem's Lot, but which is fucking.
What's
great.
the turning point? What's the actual?
No, so here's the thing.
We also should say that at one point Michael Moriarty discovers that his girlfriend is pregnant with his kid.
Before he does that,
it is after this escape attempt.
It is after the escape attempt, but he has sex with her again after the scene in the school, out in the woods or whatever, which is weird and unnecessary. Because it's like, well, it's like, well, it wouldn't be believable that he would.
John. Why wouldn't you? I'm sorry.
Well, but I just like the idea that the screenwriters are like, what? Oh, it wouldn't be believable he impregnated her the first time they had sex. So we better have a second, Also,
well, this movie's take is weird. Is that the vampires do procreate with humans?
Yeah.
But their offspring are meant to be drones or Renfields. They are hybrids.
Interesting idea.
Decent idea.
Yeah.
They're the ones that watch over the town, including what's his name, Rains. Thank you, the sheriff or deputy or whatever, and the dude at the gas station. They're human hybrid vampire, whatever.
Right.
So there's that.
Yeah.
And we do see old people sucking on cows,
and
they're very proud of it too. They're like, see. Now here's a dumb thing. If that's your logical take on what the vampires are doing to stay alive, why would they have to lay cows down while they're asleep and very awkwardly climb on their bodies and bite their necks? It's like, wouldn't you have just like some sort of hookup thing and you draw some blood off and you'd sip it out of bottles? The idea of these old people in the mud leaning over cows and chewing on their necks with their mouths all bloody going, see, this is more humane than what you do in your slaughterhouses.
Oh,
in fact, we're not even killing these cows.
That really
in a week, they'll have gotten all that blood back.
That really spoke to me, that they weren't slaughtering cows.
Made me really think.
Yeah, I'm just saying.
It made me sit there going, I haven't been to Burger King in a while.
I'm going to Burgerville after this. I'm very excited.
Oh, nice.
Good choice.
Tell me what their seasonal shake is, won't you?
I will.
The turning point that makes him decide to leave is the kid is hung over / turning into a vampire, right? When he's like,
oh yeah,
this sun, man, it's fucking hurting me. And I don't know, I think I got to get some blood in me. And that's when he's like, oh, fuck this shit. I'm throwing this kid over my shoulder and we are booking it down the river.
Makes no sense. Get in a fucking car.
And also, I'm pretty sure these vampires, if you drive like 50 miles away from them, they're going to leave you alone. They're not going to track you.
Yeah. No.
They seem content. These are small town vampires,
And they seem very like they have to be in their coffins.
Yeah.
These people at the end of the movie, I kept sitting there going, well, okay, he burned all their coffins, but there are still standing structures. We can see them. They could go in there and be safe. Instead, they're like clinging to that bus going, I'm like, that building back there looks like it'd probably be pretty shady if you went inside.
Yeah, I know. It just sort of seems. Yeah, once you get rid of the coffins, they're fucked. That's it. They are dead. And there's no like classic vampire thing where it's like on the earth of their home country or anything like that. There's none of that shit. That's your classic Dracula stuff.
Here's another supposedly comedic beat is between the mayor,
supposedly.
the judge, and his wife.
Well be the mayor, yeah. Oh my God.
They have their evening conversation before they go to bed. They're both lying in their coffins, which are right next to each other. And they're like, I don't know if you can trust this plan of yours, a crazy experiment. He's going to write the Bible and he's going to be our human friend. Oh, well, I have to keep trying. Well, that's okay, honey. And then he goes, good morning, honey. And she goes, good morning to
and
you.
They're in their like old person PJs.
Yeah.
And I'm going like,
this is good night. They say, good day.
This is a bad comedy sketch.
Good
what
morning.
I mean? Like, yeah.
Ooh, Singing in the Rain with a vampire cast.
There we go.
I'm down for that shit.
Think about how many more flips that Donald Connor could do with those vampire powers. Oh.
Make them
Dancing
bleed.
on the ceiling? Come
Make
on.
them bleed.
No.
Make them bleed.
Yeah.
Earlier from the Music Man, though.
Come on. We're ready.
Bite a little, suck a little, bite a little, suck a little.
Yes!
Bite, suck a lot, suck a little.
Yes. Well, these things write themselves, basically. Is what we're saying.
Ever met a fella by the name of Hill? Yeah, I know an embarrassing... But he doesn't know the territory. I've got to stop.
So
they
escape. They escape these two
big long steaks made of cedar, made of pine.
These drones chase after them through the river, and Michael Moriarty just fucking murders one with a rock.
Yeah. He does. And then they try to make him feel guilty about it later.
Yeah.
Like the vampire's like going, look what you did to our friend. Or
how they massacred my boy. No. I'm not.
Really massacred my boy.
Because while he's busy bashing this one's brains in, he doesn't notice the other one sneaking up behind him with a stick.
I think that was Brett Gelman again.
Yeah. He clocks him, and then he wakes up on the couch at the judge's place. And they're like, oh, no, you're not going anywhere there, son. And he's like, where's my son, you motherfuckers? There is one, okay, he has a line where, and I had to back it up to hear that he says it. I think it might be here. He says, what have you done with my son, you son of a bitches? Which I'm like, that's not how you say that at all. You son of a bitches.
You son of a bitches.
It's just bad.
And Larry Cohen went, oh, that's fine. We'll put that in the movie.
I know. Not just son of bitches.
Yeah.
But also son twice in a sentence is the laziest
Where's my
construction
son,
as well.
You son of a bitches.
Son of a bitches.
That's the level of...
That's where you'd want to put the plural is right there.
Yeah.
You son of multiple bitches.
No, your son of a bitches. So wait, what? That's even more.
Bitches, yeah.
I don't even understand what any of that is.
Wow.
Yeah, it means you're the prodigy of someone from the bitches family, right? Or the bitch family. The Salem's Lot bitches.
My name is Richard.
I'm Harvey bitches. This is my wife Marilyn bitches. These are all the little bitches.
Yeah, it's me, Dick bitches.
Dick bitches.
And so, and again, now we're back into the okay, Jeremy's missing, but then it's still Michael Moriarty.
That's the sticker is Jeremy with the sunglasses and call me Dick bitches.
Dick bitches.
Anyway, keep going.
Yeah, it's just this whole thing because he's like, don't worry, he's safe.
As long as you write the Bible, Michael Moriarty's like, okay, I'll write the Bible, but I'm conflicted and I'm working on the house and Jeremy's missing and
I love at one point
matters.
It's like going. He goes, well, if you do what they ask, he goes, I've been writing so hard, my wrist is hurting. I mean, he says some lame things like going, my hand is sore, I've been writing so much.
Well, and then there's this, he talks to the constable, Rains, at one point, and he goes like, so what is your deal? And he's like, yeah, I'm the grandfather of Axel, not that he does the whole thing about, not that he ever fucking. And so there's this whole thing about yeah, I just exist to protect them, but nothing comes of this guy's whole thing. Wouldn't it have worked better if he ended up siding with Fuller and Michael Moriarty against?
Yeah, it would be nice if he was like going, I
don't want to be your slave.
You're sick of being slaves to our,
whatever. John, it would be great if there was some follow through on anything that happens in the movie.
Yeah, I would love the conclusion of an arc of any kind. Really, the fulfillment of set up things. No. And so he's just like, huh. And then Sam Fuller comes back, and he's just been showing around the picture.
He's got a picture of this Nazi.
Yeah. Sam Fuller driving a very old car with one headlight out, almost runs into, when he first shows up, almost runs into Michael Moriarty and his kid. And he's like, have you guys seen this dude? And he's showing a picture around, and he says, his name is blah, 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 and it's some Germanic name. And they're like, no, we haven't. He goes, he might look different. And they're like, no, we haven't. And then he starts wandering around asking other people. So we're like, oh, that's an eccentric old dude.
Yeah.
Now he shows back up and he's having car trouble or whatever. And
can't find his glass. He left his glasses in the shop.
Oh, my glasses. Open back up. Where are my glasses?
I can't see shit without my glasses. And then he was like, where am I anyway? They're like, Salem's Lot. He goes, oh, I'm still here?
Yeah.
So the idea is he's such a crazy old man.
And
he
Michael Moriarty just
came back to the same town.
He just quickly goes, why don't you come stay with me?
Yeah, he does. He's like, hey, you're ridiculous. And he's like, you can't drive anywhere without your glasses, so why don't I drive your car to my home?
Michael Moriarty has been living in this house that, like, where even, like, the slats of wood on it aren't meeting, so there's clearly just air coming in. Like, you can't live in this place. I never understood how he had running water in this place, really.
And I love the way that instantly he's showing more concern for this eccentric old dude than he does for his own son.
I know, right?
Yeah.
And like, of course, well, my kid's an asshole who's going to be seduced by an 11-year-old girl vampire, but you're just an old codger.
And this is where he asks him, like, what are you doing in town? What are you looking for? And Sam Fuller responds to this by just pulling out his fucking Walther and being like, yeah, I'm here to kill a Nazi.
Yeah.
Because as he says,
Michael Moriarty's another very good line in the movie is, I think even Nazis would know better than to hang around Salem's Lot.
Yeah. And he's like, he goes, I do love his line about, like, because I ain't a Nazi hunter. I'm a Nazi killer. Yeah, baby. Yeah. Now watch my movie about a racist dog.
Yeah. Be sure to check out my not at all problematic film, White Dog.
It's an interesting film. It is problematic, but it is an interesting movie.
It is.
As a lot of his stuff is. But he goes, he's looking for that, and the guy's like, I'll tell you, man, it's bad news because my kid's turning into a vampire. We both got problems, you and I.
Because Jeremy comes back to the bungalow at night to try to lure Sam Fuller to the school to get killed. And goes, Michael Moriarty says as much.
He's like, now that I think about it, I have seen the guy in your picture. He just looked different. I saw him at the schoolhouse. Right. I think he sleeps there. And Michael Moriarty comes out and goes, are you making this shit up because you're trying to lure the old man to be fed on by some vampires? And Jeremy's like, ain't I a stinker? He says that.
He's like, fuck you, old man.
Fuck you. That's what he says. Up. Yeah. Shut the fuck up, Dad.
Sam Fuller is like, he talks to you like this in your own house.
And he goes, when you have a guest above all. Jesus. Yeah. This kid's out of control. I just love how immediately Sam Fuller turns to old man, like, a kid speaking to his father with such disrespect. I never, jeez. And then he starts, when Sam Fuller's like grabbing the kid by the back of the neck, he's like, you're going to sit down and learn some respect, young man.
Yeah.
This is what I'm going, what is going on? And Jeremy goes,
Yeah. And then I love Michael Moriarty going, he uses the same move later, and Jeremy does work. He goes, yeah, it does work.
He goes, is this where you grabbed him?
He's abusing my child. But thanks, Samuel Fuller.
It is just like, you little bastard. Come here.
I'll teach you some manners.
Yeah, I want Sam Fuller to start taking his belt off here, going like, come on. Teach you. Yeah, he does seem like he's of that generation. We can't overstress. Sam Fuller is so old at this point. He's a very withered.
Every time they show him running, I'm like, he's pretty spry.
He is pretty spry, but he's very gaunt and weathered. Like his arms are little sticks, you know. Like he's
like a scarecrow. You keep his clothes are literally flapping around his body,
and he is a tiny, short little dude, and he's just
with
little.
great hair though. The big floofed out hair is great.
Yeah, it is great. He's fantastic. He's Sam Fuller. I loved seeing him in this.
He has a life to him, even though this is a piece of shit movie.
It is. He's trying, man. He's going, okay, Larry, I'll give you a performance. All right, I get it. I'm hunting Nazis. Great. And I think he's just
weird, like the 2 times he pulls like trick shots or he does some sort of thing. You're like what? The whole thing where they confront people in the
oh
school.
Yeah, there's multiple. This guy's a rascal. Is what I love about this character. He's a little scamp.
He pretends to shoot himself dead.
So he goes, all right, here's the plan. We take refuge in the church for the night. We're safe there. Then in the morning, we start staking everybody.
Yep.
And at this point, I'm going like, good plan. That's great. And also something we often rail against these movies for on here, Brendan, is they frequently try to attack vampires at night when they're at their strongest. Many
once they've done all their research in the big heavy books that are always in every one of these movies, and they now know they're up against vampires. You think one of the first things would have learned from the big heavy books is you don't fucking go out at almost dusk.
No,
so many go out as soon as the sun's up. You got hours of daylight to kill vampires in.
Although in this one they do a really good, clever way of circumventing that, where
they sleep
because
late.
they do go to the church, and Judge Axel, who has now just like completely thrown off the veil of I'm a nice vampire.
Yeah,
kills a bus full of people.
Yeah.
In front of the church.
And I love that he's like, this is your fault, Joe.
Yeah.
We did this because of you. This never would have happened.
Yeah, they're basically like, we'll kill them in front of the church so they can see through the windows us slaughtering innocents and go, it's on you. It's all your fault.
Yeah.
We didn't want to drink these humans' blood, but we had to.
It's all for you, Damien. Is all I can
And
think
then
of.
they do sleep late the next day, and Sam Fuller is like, they must have put a spell on us. We shouldn't have looked into Judge Axel's eyes last night. Just like a throwaway. Like
they hit us with a hex.
You know what? I forgot about that. Like,
they put the hex on us. Right. God, come on.
Actually, this movie is so shit that when they even addressed that and that was their little out, I was like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
I gave them a little
it's just
tip.
like, okay, it's the movie is still progressing, so sure,
they
whatever.
Addressed it, and that made as much sense as anything else.
Yeah.
Just like I was happy when we found out that Jeremy had wrecked the Mercedes from the very beginning.
Yes.
That happens later. We find that out. And I'm like, so there was an explanation for why the bumper was falling off that Mercedes.
There is.
Good on you, screenplay.
There is one moment on the drive to the church that I would be remiss if I did not mention, which is when they hit this vampire in the road, and then he gets up on the hood, and Sam Fuller just very casually just leans his pistol out the window and shoots the guy off of the car, and then he's like, all right, on to the church. Like, it's just such a minor speed bump in their journey.
Well,
it's like, kabang! Here
what helped and made it more realistic is that they were clearly on a closed set with people behind the car, moving it.
Yeah.
And that person literally just jumped from 2 feet away onto the thing, pretending as if he was. It was the fakest driving scene I've ever seen.
Yeah.
It's like, get that one blue gel light behind them that's nighttime, and then one guy going, I'm on the hood!
Yeah. And then once again, just the casual, like, I'll handle this. Bang! All right, on with our journey.
Again, did I mention I grew up in the Carpathians? Yes. And the guy goes, oh, you got me, and now I'm... and he made his voice drift as if,
I swear vengeance on you.
Did that work for you, Larry? Oh, that was great. Moving on.
Yeah.
Only time for one take.
Yeah. Yeah.
Moving on.
Larry Cohen's catchphase. Moving on.
We only have this warehouse until 5:30.
We are literally running out of film. Yeah, like
we're burning video here, people. We're burning video.
Before they go out to do their staking, Joe just goes, oh, by the way, there's something you should know. I did impregnate one of these vampires who is carrying my child. And Sam Fuller's reaction is just like, those bastards.
He goes, well, that explains why you stuck around. And he also goes, you going to have a problem getting rid of that thing?
Mm-hmm.
And he says no, but of course he will.
Yeah.
So they run around, they stake somebody. They tell Jeremy, you stay here in the church where it's safe. We're going to go out and start going house. Maybe they should have split up. Like we
have seen that leaving Jeremy alone is fine.
It's a super good idea that goes well every time it happens.
Fuck you, old man.
So yeah, fuck you. I'll stay in the fucking church, you motherfucker. So when they get to the judge's house, though, he's not in his coffin. Well, that's weird. Yeah. But this is where they stake a crazy rubber monster, of course. Just so Sam Fuller can be like, ain't never seen one of those before. That's some messed up shit right there.
Yeah, he's like, that's a true form or whatever.
And of course, after they stake that, he goes over to another coffin, which is when our constable shows up. And he's like, you two stop it right now. You stop your staking. And he's got a gun on them. And this is my favorite Sam Fuller moment of the movie where he's like, something's got me in the thing. And then he just turns around and shoots the constable. And he's like, nothing really had me. Fake them out.
He pretends he's being pulled down into one of the coffins. Somebody's got me. Which allows him to do this cool sort of turn and spin and shoot underneath his arm. Bang.
Yeah, it's like the most nonsensical. But this movie
posits that, you shoot a vampire, it's not going to kill him. It's still a good distraction.
These are humans.
So much vampire shooting in this thing.
They do. This here, the constable is a human. I mean, these guys.
This was the constable. Yes.
And then when they go outside, there's some more guys at a distance. So Joe grabs the gun from Sam Fuller, who of course doesn't have his glasses, and then he takes a turn to homicide pretty easily.
Yeah,
as he just starts dropping these dudes, and I guess he's a hell of a shot with a pistol because he's landing every shot.
You have to do. Yes, you have to learn that to be an anthropologist.
As an anthropologist, kablamo!
Action anthropologist.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Again, did you see those cargo pants he's wearing? You know he means business. He didn't take them off for the whole movie.
So when they do go to the house,
that hairpiece
with the pregnant, they go to the house where the pregnant vampire is, and of course, immediately Michael Moriarty's just like, "Yeah, I can't do it," and he's like, "What are you talking about? That ain't a human in there." I think my favorite Sam Fuller delivery goes, "There ain't no baby."
Not going to be a baby, you
God damn it, it's all just a vampire shenanigans. Come on! He kind of is verging on Burgess Meredith and Rocky a little bit with some of these.
There's a little bit of that.
Hey, come on! Kill it! You gotta kill these vampires, Rock!
Kill them, Rock!
Yeah.
The sun can't do it all!
Yeah. So, let's see here. So he goes down. This is where he goes down into the basement and he steps on a bear trap.
Yeah.
They were ready for him with that bear trap.
And there are these two. It's not Aunt Clara down there, but it's two old women vampires that are leaning out of their coffins, and they're heard to say an ADR, which is about 30% of the film is ADR.
Yeah.
But they're saying too soon, too early.
And I do like to keep them in their coffins. This is where he's just shooting one and then the other, and he's calling for Joe, and he's just like, and "You stay in your coffins, bang, bang."
Gets him out of the bear trap. And again, I thought Sam Fuller did a great job of hobbling. Running with the limp. He did a good job. I was like, that looks like a guy who probably had his ankle in a bear trap.
Yeah. Oh, I've been there, baby. Believe it or not. Sam Fuller's been in a bear trap before.
World War II. Yeah. I was in a bear trap
He is from that generation of directors who I love from a historical context, and I'm sure we're awful human beings if I was to actually. But, your John Hustons and stuff like that, where they were these, we're going to direct a movie, god damn it, and they're carrying a
I will say a lot of them had seen war.
Yes.
And a lot of them had seen real death.
Yes,
so they tended to be macho, hardened, PTSD types.
Well, here it says right here, he did fight in the European battle theater in World War II, Sam Fuller, so he's...
Yeah, that's why he hates those fucking Nazis.
And these guys were that, though. They were these tough guy directors, which just is so bizarre to today's, fucking nerd directors, who I love.
And they would have, as you say, been talking to HR or been fired.
Oh God! But these were the kind of guys who are like, you got a problem with the script? That's it. Let's take it outside.
Yeah, they would literally throw whiskey bottles at people. So.
Right. They're drinking on set. John Huston shooting elephants while he's filming the African Queen. Like Jesus Christ. You just go like it's that just is nonsense to me today as to guys who
I worked this into my schedule. Yeah. I have plenty of elephant hunting time worked into my schedule.
We have a break from the movie, so I'm gonna go shoot a tiger. That's just the kind of guys that they were. And
you want to come with Bogey, or do you want to stay here and look at her face all day?
My favorite story from the African Queen, as a side tangent, is that everybody got dysentery in that movie except for Bogart and John Huston because they never drank water. They were only drinking booze.
They were only drinking bottled alcohol they brought with them.
Yeah, so they were the only ones who didn't get sick making that film.
Water, never heard of it.
Yeah.
Not sick from dysentery anyway.
No. Bogey was dead like a couple years later.
Houston lasted a long time.
Houston
for the stuff that guy
I don't know what that guy was made of because Bogey went out in like I said a couple years after that. But
Houston was probably preserved.
Yeah, he was
I think
pickled.
At some point, is like
I've been pickled since 1962.
It's like, well, it won't kill you, but this liver is not functional. Great. How many more pictures can I make? How about Stallone in a soccer movie?
Yeah. Victoire!
Yeah, he did make that soccer movie with Stallone and Michael Caine.
I know. I saw it on
film.
HBO when I was a kid.
Weird movie. All right. So yeah. Joe does. He does take these vampires out by just splashing holy water on both of them.
Yeah.
And
they melt, and it looks. I'm like, right at this point in the movie, I've been so checked out, and I'm trying to like be checked in for the last 20 minutes or whatever.
Yeah.
And I'm just trying to get something. So I'm like, okay, the melting is actually like kind of cool looking.
I agree, and there's a lot of melting down the stretch here. They go like they like that melting effect.
The melting is pretty good, except for they're so happy with it they stay on it too long. Like a little bit would have gone a lot better because they think that the collapsing body also works well from the melting, and it doesn't. It literally looks like they cut the string of something and just goes clump. I was like, no, the melting was working, and then you ruined it.
Yeah.
Cut it before it gets bad.
I agree. But this is where they go, all right, you know what? To save time, let's just start burning the whole town down.
Yeah.
Which is the exact same point they get to in the original Salem's Lot. So they start lighting everything on fire and they're burning all the coffins. And this is where this all leads to the final confrontation in the auditorium of the school. And how disappointed were you two that we don't get to see the kids put on the play? Because I do love the leaders
and literally at that point, I had scrolled down to the
time code.
The time code, and I was like, okay, how much more of this fucking thing is left? And I was like, 13 minutes? Wow, they're really gonna get through the rest of this in 13 minutes? Okay.
This is
I mean, it does barrel when you get to the end. It's just about burnings and shootings.
This is like many a Meet the Monsters movie, though, Brendan, where like we get 10 to 15 minutes left, and the movie goes, oh shit, we gotta wrap this thing up. We've seen so many of these movies that are like that, where the climax is just like, we gotta end here. So I don't know,
Basically, the judge is holding forth, and on the stage of the auditorium, they have the set for their Dracula production, but instead, it's basically just you got Jeremy in the coffin, little fucker Jeremy.
I wish he'd become a vampire.
The judge is like,
sweet prince.
I know your boyfriend.
Elliot's wishing
my terrible child.
Yeah, and Elliot's wishing this sweet prince
like,
good night.
You fucked with us, and so what we're gonna do is we're gonna show you what it's like to be a vampire, and this is what you've been doing to us for our persecution, what you've done to us for centuries. So he's going to stake Jeremy, even though Jeremy's not a vampire. And they bust in, and
Sam Fuller just puts two right in his head.
Two right in his head.
Oh yeah, that's right. He just
ends up putting 3 total in him.
And you see the slugs flat against his
which
forehead.
Is kind of a dumb effect, right? Like it's
kind of dumb.
What is he, Superman? Where I don't think of vampires as bullets like not entering them, right? Like it's mostly that they penetrate them, but it doesn't matter. Is how I think of like Dracula.
But didn't when he jumps off the stage, don't they show like the flattened slugs hit the ground, like they fall out of his skull or something?
I can't but it's not like it's not like Wolverine getting shot in X2 where the bullet actually goes in and then comes out, which is cooler. But that's also a good movie with effects.
Oh, right. Yeah. And Moriarty is being held by other vampires or some shit.
You gotta love the hero being held back by like 4 vampires and struggling.
And he's like, "Oh, I wish I could help my son and the old man."
Yeah.
And the judge is coming for the old man. So the old man says, "I got one left in the chamber, and you ain't gonna make a bloodsucker out of me."
And
he shoots himself in the gut.
Yeah, which I didn't know where this was going, so I thought, well, that's a lame way to end this character. And also, he committed suicide by shooting himself in the stomach. Of course, I should have known this lovable rascal that is Sam Fuller has fooled them yet again.
That guy.
My God.
The classic move. You pretend to shoot yourself in the stomach. It works every time.
It's a classic misdirect. I've used it 7-8 times easily.
It's how I used to get out of work.
Yeah. I just can't take this job anymore. Kabang!
I'm like, do you think he really did it this time? I don't know. There's a blood patch. So.
Yeah. Dan, he keeps doing this, and then he comes in the next day, so I don't know if we should believe him.
So essentially that does throw them off, and at what point does Judge turn...
So the smoke starts to fill in through the bottom of the stage, and that's why they let Michael Moriarty go, because he's like, see that, you see the fires, you can't see the fires.
No, you can see some
your homes
smoke.
Are burning, your coffins
are burning.
This
is where he does the like, you guys are so fucked. You think you got me? I burned all your coffins. I burned your houses.
Where you gonna go? Where you gonna go? You gonna fry in the sun?
So he manages to like get Jeremy, and they start running away, and they like get to the roof somehow for some reason, and are like jumping off the roof. And
they leap out. They leap off. They do get some stunt doubles leaping off a roof.
Yeah.
And oh boy.
And then the pregnant vampire comes, and she's trying to kill Michael Moriarty, and Jeremy takes the holy water and saves his dad.
So then she melts.
He's like, our baby. Again, I've seen in a shot that goes on way too long.
So long. In a movie that is too long, this movie clocks at like an hour 40. Oh, this thing should have. You could lose 15 minutes, and this thing would have been healthier at 85 minutes.
It still would not have been any better.
No, but it would have. It would have moved. It like we talked about. It really drags in the middle. This thing needed to lose 10, 15 minutes easily.
But they were making their satirical points, John.
I was looking up who edited this thing, and it was a guy who had worked with Leonard Cohen on.
Larry.
I would have loved to see
Larry.
I would have loved to see Leonard Cohen.
I cannot apologize enough.
Yeah,
I've come up with a screenplay. I hope everybody enjoys it. I'm doing the score as well.
Yeah.
I would love to see
I'd worked
Leonard
with Larry
Cohen
on a bunch of.
Yeah, that adds up. It does sort of. He seems like a guy who kind of dragged everybody from. And once again, the quality is right at that level of what I expect.
This movie was made with capital K quality.
Yeah.
So they go to this weird shed full of just like bladed
like a
farm
barn
tools.
or
but it's literally the walls are covered in like. Once again, bladed farm tools. And I'm going, gee, I wonder if those will be used as a weapon down the stretch here. Any of those?
Right here at the end, where I guess we're moments away from the sun rising or whatever. I love the flip-flopping of the atmosphere at the end of the movie, where it's like night, dawn, broad daylight, back to dawn, back to night.
Yeah.
But in this case, I guess Moriarty and son are looking for a place, because they are kind of running like, well, we did, everyone's after us, but we got no place, and we don't have a car ourselves.
Yeah.
So they run in this barn, and then the judge finds them.
We'll be safe. We'll just hang out in here till morning when all the vampires will burn up. Then we'll go home.
Sure. But the judge has got to show off his new makeup.
And it's not good.
No.
Why don't they just stick?
It's the best in this movie.
It is, but why didn't they just stick with the Nosferatu, the simplicity of the one in the Tobe Hooper Salem's Lot, which is I have issues with, as I said on that episode, because it is not the vampire from the book. It's a way different Barlow. But it was effective design.
Yeah.
I thought the glow-in-the-dark eyes was some of the best they had ever done, and that's in a 1970s TV movie.
It is. We're here
because they did that cat kind of glow in the dark.
It was cool.
It wasn't like lit up.
I mean,
it was just
reflecting. Yeah.
You can go back and listen to that episode. We love that movie. But this here, I just thought it's overcomplicated though. Like the Nosferatu makeup is pretty simple. Here it's kind of bluish, and it's like got these kind of rigid ears, and like,
this is kind of like proto Buffy and Angel vampire,
because
basically you can still see the guy's face. It's recognizable, but it's the furrowed brow and the huge cheekbones and the big fangs.
Once again, done better in aforementioned Lost Boys.
Yeah.
Yes.
And he's here going like, God damn it! Not only did you burn my town, you made me turn to my monster self.
Yeah.
All right.
You made me lose control. Joe.
I don't like that, pal. You really pissed me off.
Bad fight choreography.
No, they don't.
Stabbing
two stuntmen have pointless.
Oh, sorry. Yes,
this is where
two stuntmen have some bad, pointless choreography.
He's just grabbing random weapons off the wall and stabbing them into him to no effect. It's kind of funny when he just has like 7 or 8 of them in his chest, and they're just stuck in him.
But then we get the perhaps Larry Cohen's. I know again. He was sitting there going. Good. This is the commentary. Because Jeremy drives
and
I'm
an proud
American
to be an American.
Through the judge's chest.
Yeah, this is how Captain America would kill a vampire, right?
Except for you'd have to burn the flag after because you've disrespected it.
Mm-hmm. And then he would cry and be saluting as the flag burned.
Yeah,
that's how Steve Rogers does it.
Illustrated by Rob Layfield.
Oh yeah. So in that case, it's him with the giant shelf chest.
Yes.
Right?
The shelf chest. Jesus Christ.
Oh my God. The best run on Cap, I think we can all agree.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. What was that? The Heroes. What was that run when they gave it to all the Image guys?
Heroes Reborn.
Yeah. Oh fuck, that was awful.
But it did introduce the female Bucky.
Yeah.
And she ended up in the proper Marvel universe.
Yeah. It's already a show we do about monsters. I don't think we have to prove our nerd cred anymore.
Yeah, I guess. And I remember very clearly that it was all created by Franklin Richards. He created a mini-verse to take care of his friends and his family.
Mm-hmm. Once again, still single, ladies.
And that number again is 555-4872.
Hey, listen, being into horror doesn't really get you any ladies either. Believe me.
Okay.
No.
All right.
No.
All right.
Nope.
We need to find the cool things to be into.
What are the cool things these days? I think Marvel is kind of cool these days, isn't it? The movies, at least. Maybe not the deep comic knowledge that we have, but
see.
Yeah.
We'll see. Well, let's take we'll take an unofficial poll when we go to Doctor Strange.
Excuse me, ladies. What is this movie cool?
Am I interesting for liking this movie?
Yeah.
No, in fact, please step away.
Yeah.
In fact, it's weirdly a red flag.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, we are grown men here on our own volition who are very excited about this.
Would you like to hear our podcast about classic monsters?
Yeah, Brendan, should I wear this Eye of Agamotto replica I have up in my apartment to the movie?
You should. I'll wear my cloak of levitation.
There we go. And we'll just be we'll be fending off all the advances. All right. So they end up staying with the American flag, and boy, he really goes out because he not only melts, he disintegrates to dust. The dust catches fire before exploding.
Yeah, because dad and son have to run out of that place because it goes up pretty quick. The judge, he's an explosive vampire.
And now how are they going to get out of town? Well, here comes that bus from earlier.
Yeah, driving the bus.
I do love that there is the line about, but who would be driving the bus? Open up the door. It's me, Sam Fuller.
It's Sam Fuller.
Yeah, that's
Did
right.
I fool you? Did you think I was dead?
I faked my death. I did the same thing to Lee Marvin on the set of Big Red 1. And off I go. Actually, no, because the bus currently isn't working.
He's like, now wait, how does the bus get started again?
Yeah, no,
yeah, I
hold
know.
on.
He
It's
started
like, no,
it,
just
drove
end
it,
it.
and he stopped, and then he's like, "Oh, I forgot what I did literally 5 minutes ago."
I have killed upwards of 10 Nazis, but I have not driven a bus.
And the this is that last scene. So I love that he pulls up and saves them, and it looks like early dawn.
Yep.
Mhm.
They get in the bus. Outside the bus now is nighttime.
Fully 10 a.m.
Yep.
Well, no, for a bit it's full nighttime, and then as they're driving away, and you have vampires clawing at it. Now it's 10 a.m. They just keep bouncing through times,
Yeah.
and I love that the vampires, like I said, they are not worried about self-preservation. They apparently are just angry. Yeah, their coffins may have gone up, but they're clearly. They didn't burn that set because that's a real town. So we are seeing full buildings that are not on fire that they could have gone and hid in. Instead, they're going to claw the outside of the bus as it drives away, and they're all bursting into flames going, no! Ah!
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we do have the quick flash of poor little Tara Reid burning.
Very realistically.
Sort of accepting her fate, right? Like
that's
she's
the
like
most unnerving thing.
Yeah.
And then the last shot of the movie, bafflingly, is an ominous close-up on the cows. And then it just ends.
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought, was there going to be something with the cows? Or
There's not.
No, it just
I think it was one final
and
commentary.
cows.
It's like, look, man.
Who is the
food
cattle?
Sources.
Who is really the cattle?
Aren't the humans the cattle too, man?
I would have been okay if the cows had turned into vampires, like in the classic A Little Vampire.
Yes.
Oh.
You guys watching The Little Vampire?
Are you kidding?
Yeah, that's. I think we are actually. Yeah, I think that is on the list. That's got that's got Alice Krieg in it though, who I love. The Borg Queen is in that.
That's the one with the kid from Jerry Maguire, right?
Jonathan Lipnicki. Yeah, I remember that coming out. We're also doing Elliot. Do you remember Cirque du Freak, the vampire's assistant?
Yeah, I do. Unfortunately, I never.
John C. Reilly.
I never read the book, but because like I knew a bunch of people who were into.
Well, that
books,
was meant to be a
that was
franchise
like
right?
YA stuff for my age group.
Yeah.
Oh,
at the time.
you children!
Yeah, but I watched the movie. I did end up watching the movie like on TV once, and I was like, "This sucks."
Yeah, except for the main. I've never seen it. I've never seen the trailers for it. But I am just very excited to see John C. Reilly play a vampire. He's such a weird choice.
Yeah,
he is.
He's
a very weird choice.
I love John C. Reilly.
I was wondering if you wanted to go out and get some. We should get some blood sometime. You want to do some?
Oh man, you just got.
It might as well have been that.
Yeah,
yeah.
And then maybe I'll think about buying the Lakers.
Winning time.
Winning time.
But yeah, so
that
the
was
movie
our
ends, and we're
return.
all very happy.
Yeah, that was our return. I do like that it comes up and it's like a Larry Cohen film.
You didn't need to put the card up. We knew.
He signed off on this picture, baby.
I knew within the first minute when we saw the natives dancing around. I was like, oh boy.
And the natives from.
Thanks, Larry.
Yeah.
Very real indigenous people.
Very real. Very real. They did a lot of research.
Do you guys recommend people return to Salem's Lot?
No.
I concur on that one. No matter how brilliant the performance of this child may be.
Yeah, Range Touch put up the clip on their Twitter when they reviewed this. They put up the clip of Michael Moriarty walking up to Jeremy and him saying, "Didn't they tell you? Fucked up." And that's really all you need to watch.
No, that sums it up.
I did like the Jeremy bit where and it's pretty early when they get there, where he's grumpy and they're in a field. He's always grumpy, but the thing is where he goes, "This town fucking sucks."
Yeah. Yes.
And I was there going, that really should have just kicked off the trailer. It should have kicked off the trailer and into the film. This town fucking sucks.
Warner Brothers Pictures invites you
You know
back,
what would have been awesome is if Jeremy had teamed up with the character that Corey Haim played in Silver Bullet, and then they become kid monster hunters.
Yes, and
with the Frog Brothers.
With the Frog Brothers and Gary Busey as their drunken mentor.
Yeah, that'd be great.
I said this on the show before, but I do kind of love Silver Bullet. It is let down by its production values, unfortunately, but the movie is fun. I really do enjoy that one. I would much rather watch that.
There's enough good in it that it entertained.
Yeah,
and
I think we were both pleasantly surprised by how much of it worked.
Every shitty movie we watch afterwards, it makes the ones we were sort of on suddenly glow.
No, Silver Bullet is light years ahead of this.
Because Teen Wolf 2 and this has been tough.
Dun, 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 dun.
Talk about next week, John.
I will talk about next week. Next week will be the first non-Elliott guest on the show. Elliott, you're the only guest we've had, but Michael Listman, my co-host on the Action Shelf, and one of your fellow contributors to Material Components, Elliott.
Indeed.
Will be joining us to talk about, finally, 1988's Vampire's Kiss.
Yes.
This is
going to be an outlier for a lot of reasons, but a movie that I unironically kind of love just because early Cage.
This is early Cage, and boy, he is sweating for his work here, man. Oh my God, he is cranked up to 11. This is full-on crazy Cage. And this is
him teaching the future Pattinsons of the world what you do.
Yeah.
When you get into your and your Letos, when you're getting into your method acting.
Yes. Yes. Oh my God. This is something.
Lived this movie.
We also get the return of Jennifer Beals, who we talked about in The Bride, but in a much better role in this movie.
Yeah, not a very big role, but a very important role.
Yeah, and very good. And is it Maria Conchita Alonso who's the star of it? Yeah. So this is
R.I.P.
And also, did she die?
I thought she did. Am I wrong?
I feel like we've said other people have been dead on this show who haven't been. So
it's usually my assuming they're dead, and I hope she isn't because of all
she is still with us. She's 64 years old and very much.
Yay!
So,
okay, thank you.
Excellent. So yeah, we'll talk about Vampire's Kiss with Michael Listman, with Nicolas Cage fan Michael Listman, who I know wants to talk about that performance. Elliott, you will be joining us for our season finale this season, though, in a few weeks to talk about some Robert Englund. Looking forward to that. Thank you for joining us again. Always a pleasure to have you on the show.
Yeah, of course.
You're the best. But stop recommending things.
Yeah.
I will try.
Yeah. But that's going to do it for this week's episode of Campbell and Jones Meet the Monsters. I'm John Campbell.
I'm Brendan Jones.
And remember, there are such things as monsters.
Send me an angel, ooh, send me an angel, ooh, right now. That's right, because I want to think about anything else other than this movie.